Hey, everybody. We're right on time. Or
Yeah.
maybe not. Are we?
1 minute late, maybe. I don't know. So both of you guys,
9:06. So who won the bet? Who lost the bet? Who owes
they
me
both lost
$10?
it. They both
Who
lost a
owes
bit.
Chris
So they
money?
both got to pay super chat $10 each. Do it,
So this is Chris for Raiders.
and that's Jeff over there in his underscore booster club.
Let's start this shit. I love that intro.
Yeah, that's nice. Nice beat. Nice beat.
Just gets you all pumped up like you want to
Run
punch somebody in the face. The way I
like
feel right
like
now,
like Tom
you
Brady.
to punch someone or something right about now.
You want to punch Tom
So
Brady in the face?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, it gets me in the mood for what we're talking about tonight.
Well, I got the
So
feedback here. Wait a minute a second. Oh, well. All right. I'm ready.
you good?
Yep.
You sure?
Nope, but let's do it.
So it gets me pumped up for what we're going to talk about tonight. Because tonight we're going over the history of some of the Raider greats, maybe not so
That's
great
great.
linebackers, defensive ends, tackles. So pretty much our front formation on our defense. We're not going to get into 3-4, 4-3, and all that other crap. We're just going names, their attributes, what they did, whether we like them or not, and so on. So this will be interactive with the chat as far as certain names and such that come up. So we will definitely interact with you guys and get your input on things. So before we get rolling, you know what we got to do, right, Chris? What do we got to do?
I don't know, man. I forget sometimes.
I do too.
I forget my name not half the time. So what we got to do?
We got to talk to the chat. We got to check in with
Oh,
everybody
those
before.
guys. Oh, the people in the
Even though some of those assholes were making bets as to what
I
time
know I
we were
told
going
them
to
no
start,
gamble, but they
you
just
know.
did it anyway. So but hey,
Yeah.
I tell you what, Rosetown and Jason Downs, yo Jeff, $10 piece on Super Chat. You both lost.
All right, well, let's start this off with PNW Mark. What's up, brother? Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Hey Peter, hey Mark, what's up?
Rosetown in the house. What's up, man? Jason Downs. Welcome, gentlemen. Yeah, here we go. I bet this show starts at 6:15. You're wrong.
You
Yep, see? I got proof of it.
$10 Super
Screenshot
Chat.
that shit.
Mm-hmm. I saw it. I was
Rosetown,
never
you
talking
were
about it.
wrong too. We were on a
He
minute
was a
before.
little he was a little closer to time, but Jason Downs definitely lost that one. If you want to go political about it, he lost, so he owes $10.
Yeah. Jason, now Jeff is scrambling to get his time, man. Yeah. He's gonna go get show up at 6:20 and get us both. And he's yeah. It's, well, no, my mustache, yes.
Well, I
Not
said,
up
what?
there though. There ain't nothing up there for
That's what hair are you talking about?
Rush. He's brushing his teeth. Producer was yelling at him. Takes another bite of a sandwich. Yep.
Pretty much.
Yep. You lost. Sacktown Mike, what's going on, brother? How
Hey,
you doing
Stacked Out, what's
tonight?
up, bro?
Raider Nation, Raider 24 Nation, what's up, man? How you doing, man? Who else we got here? Who else we got here? That's it so far in the chat. Everybody's still watching, but they're being quiet. Everybody's being quiet out there.
We don't know who.
Nobody's chatting yet. So we are honoring Raiders legendary linebackers and D linemen tonight.
Mhm.
So we are going to go kind of right up to the the current era, as far as like Max Crosby, Chase on, and Kuntz and such. We will come up to the current era, obviously, but we're not going to do questions on what we should do for the draft and the
Nah.
current QB situation and all that other happy crap. This is a history of the Raiders. So,
Now, I did
so
mention that we'll go to 1960 to present, but here's the thing with you guys, 1960, I wasn't even born yet. So I
me
don't know
neither.
about those players. If you guys do in the chat, you welcome to say something about players prior to that, to 1970, 1980s. I'm not really aware of those players.
And to be honest with you, when you look at the list from that era, there's no one that sticks out. In other words, like, oh, I remember him, or oh, yeah, he was one of our Raider greats. I
There,
mean,
there's
again,
one
once
or
a Raider, always a Raider. But
there's one or
we
two that are
want
oh, sorry,
to
go
go
ahead.
ahead. Go ahead.
There's one or two that are Hall of Famers. That's about it. But other than that, I don't know 99% of those players.
Yeah, stay with me. Let's see. What's
What's
up,
up,
Raph?
Randy?
How you doing, brother? All right, so we'll start with the defensive lineman then, I guess, right?
Let's do it.
All right. So now, as far as defensive linemen, that will also include defensive ends, which historically, back in the day, a lot of them were considered linebackers. Um, like Lawrence Taylor was originally a linebacker, and then when they realized that he was so much better coming off the edge rather than being an actual true linebacker, that kind of started more of the defensive end type of
Yeah, it did.
positioning.
Yeah, because the
So
way he blitzed and blitzed and blitzed, that is lining up mainly on the line of scrimmage at that point in
yeah,
time.
exactly. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with defensive tackles and our ends, which would be like the Howie Longs, the Alzados, shit like that.
Hmm.
Um, so some of us, well, some of us, there's two of us on the show. We've met some of these guys. I've met at least two of the different guys that we're going to talk about tonight, and I know Chris has met one also.
Hmm.
Um, So, as far as like the all-time greats, what's the first name that comes to mind for you, Chris, when you think of all-time greats?
Well, both sides, linemen and linebackers,
Uh,
or just like total.
no, we'll go linemen and like defensive tackles and ends, edge
Okay,
rushers.
my defensive tackle was uh, I say how he was an end. How was an end, right? Um,
Well, that would be included in that.
okay, well, I won't say Howie Long because how he changed the game. Tom Kelly rings a bell. Uh, there's a couple of them, but I'll say Howie Long mainly.
I mean, and that's usually what it is when you ask somebody like who, when you think of all-time rated great defensive linemen, including the ends, what's the name that is usually synopsis with that. And it's
It's Howie
ninety
Long.
percent of the time they're going to say Howie Long because he was definitely. You got to remember that was during the LA era too, so that was a lot of the glitz and the glam, the '80s living in with them being in LA
Yeah,
and
that's
in the
that, that's
limelight in LA.
that's what I remember
So
about because it was in L.A. There's another guy that
yeah,
there's other guys also on my list. I forgot the name. It was Ray Townsend. It was another guy that I really, really, really enjoyed watching. Ray Townsend.
who? Oh,
Ray
Greg
Townsend.
Townsend. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
and they were there together too. That's the other thing
yeah.
too.
Hmm.
So like in Howie Long, I mean, his longevity. I mean, he was a lifelong Raider, never played for another team other than us,
Nope.
which is, I think, another reason why he always comes to the forefront when you think of all time greats. You know, like I have more respect for a guy like Howie Long that spent his entire career with us. You know, I know some guy, guys leave, they go for the money, they make that move. In his case, he didn't do that. He didn't play for a long time. He lasted what 11 years in the league. He got out, and you look at him now. He looks like he can still get down and
I
play.
would say he's
You
like he
know,
still can play. Say, hey, I would go out there and help us out.
yeah. I mean, and that's just it. I mean, he got out when he was still extremely healthy, and wasn't. I mean, yeah, he had his lumps and bruises and shit. I'm sure he still pays a small price for what he put his body through, but he's not the guy like you look at Jim Brown towards the end of his life. I mean, the guy could barely walk.
Yeah,
Billy Sims the same way. He can hardly even
he
walk.
can barely move.
These guys just take a beating. Let's see. Somebody else just joined the channel. Who was it? Oh
Uh,
no, we've got a super chat from Jason. Thank you, brother. I appreciate you. Rosetown is the greatest Raider fan. Eh, he's
that's
up
part.
there.
That's part of the bet. John Leone just joined them.
I appreciate you. Thank you, Jason. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, brother. And I do agree. Rosetown's an awesome dude. You
There
guys
you
are all awesome. Every single one of you. You know that. Tommy Kelly, he says. Greg Townsend. Yeah. Sacktown Mike says Townsend. Raph says Howie Long is the GOAT of defensive lineman. Absolutely.
go. Hmm.
No, Sacktown Mike also says Alzado in there too.
Yeah, there are a few of them.
Yeah, Spillane will be there when we get to the linebackers, so he's definitely going to be part of that discussion tonight too.
Right.
We're not going to go in depth with all kinds of stats for these guys and everything, and
The
we're just
list
going
is
to.
too long.
This is
That list,
extremely casual and just a reminder of who's who that meant something to us as fans. Us grown Chris and I growing up in the late '70s, '80s, '90s. Really appreciating the players that were with this team during those eras.
right.
Let's see. Howie Long said Dan Marino is the GOAT. YouTube. Them five gentlemen. Sup, gentlemen, and let's freaking go Miami Dolphins. Yeah, all right. Yeah, you're a Dolphins fan. You're
That's
cool,
fine.
I
We don't
guess.
care. You do.
No, don't bother me none. Jason
Well,
Downs, Otis this strunk,
yeah,
yes. One of the
that's no. Yeah,
ugliest men in pro football at the time, but man, one of the greats for sure.
man, he was mean though. He like, yeah,
Yeah, he was. He was a face only a mother could love. What's up, John Leone? How you doing, brother? Sis drunk in the twos, yeah, John Matuzak for
yeah,
sure.
I'm a
Yeah,
Tuesday, definitely.
in this the '70s were the era of, and even to the early '80s were the era of the Raiders bringing in guys that were had troubled history with other teams,
Yeah,
and you know cast offs from other teams because teams just didn't know how to handle them. You
no, they
know,
did. They had
yeah,
attitude problems. They had fights in the locker rooms and stuff like that, and they just cut them. Now they said, well, "You want to fight? Come over here. We'll fight on that damn field." That's what he did.
yeah. I mean, and that's why some of these guys like Matuzak, Alzado, these guys were perfect fits for the whole Raider mystique, and the image, that Raider image at that time frame was just you punch somebody in the mouth and you deal with the consequences later on. Who gave a shit? You know.
Hmm.
Gregory Stevens, Khalil Mack, yeah. Bo Jackson did not play defense, so he's not on. He's not on our discussion
He's
tonight.
not on the
Unfortunately,
list.
buddy.
Not
Sorry,
this week.
brother. Let's see. Raider 24 Nation says my grandpa was stationed in Oakland and took me to my first game when I was 7. I don't remember a lot of those names anymore, but boy, did they shape my future. Yeah, they did,
Yes,
man.
it did.
I mean,
It did
that's
the
what
same thing.
made me fall in love with them back in
Me
the '70s. You know.
Me too. So that's the when I saw him playing that Super Bowl, and I was just like, "Oh my god, I got this team right here."
Yeah.
I like the physicality and what they were doing. Like, yeah, this is my team.
So just some of the all-time greats. So we've already said Howie Long, you know, his versatility, longevity, and just his impact on the sport. Um,
Mhm.
he brought he brought something that you didn't really see a lot of. Now he took some of Reggie White's, um, I guess you would say, some of his moves on defense, and then made them his own. Like he was famous with the swim,
Yeah,
you know, the
yeah.
swim motion, and then the rip. The rip was the big one,
It was
where
that
he
was
would
his
just
signature move.
Yep. He would just come up off that line and he would just throw his arm up underneath the offensive lineman's arm and just basically hook him. And then that was pretty much it. I mean, if he got that move on you, you were done.
And a lot
You
of times,
know,
if you watch some of his replay of his games, you watch sometimes the offensive line not even on the ground; they off their feet, they off the ground. He lifts them up
yeah.
so high, like off and just push them back.
And for his size, I mean, he was fast too. That was the thing. He was fast. He was in shape, and the women loved him too. That was the other thing. My wife still to this day absolutely loves him.
Yeah,
She loves him more than she loves
yeah,
me.
he had that
But
face.
yeah, yeah, he did. You know, the face, the
That
haircut.
chisel
He
jaw,
looked like the Boz before the Boz, basically.
yeah, chisel jawline and this and that, and the
Yeah,
hair. Yeah,
yeah. I mean, let's face it. I mean, he was made for Hollywood when he got there. There's no two ways about it. I mean,
yeah,
he wasn't he wasn't your characteristic defensive frontline guy. Like a lot of those guys were just downright dirty, nasty. You know, they look like they just crawled out of a out of a mud pit. You know,
yeah.
he never looked like that. You
He
know,
wasn't loud. He wasn't screaming and
nope,
this and that. He really didn't bring that much attention to him until game day when he played. After that, when here in LA, we was here. Darren, too much of Howie Long. You hear about him hitting somebody in the bar or anything like that.
nope. Nope, but I mean, I will tell you, he's not a guy that I would have fucked around with back then for sure. Because I
No.
mean, he had a mean streak in him.
Oh yeah.
You saw it on the field in game time situations, you know. But everything I've ever heard about him outside of you know the stadium and
No,
when you see him person, he's one of the nicest guys you're gonna meet.
yeah.
You know, and that's how he comes across. That's how he's always come across.
Yeah. When
You
the
know,
whistle blow, he changes his character. As soon as he
exactly.
come up
You know,
field.
you gotta you have to have that mental switch where when you step out on that field in uniform, you know, everybody in the opposite color uniform that you're wearing is your enemy,
Mm-hmm.
and you want to do everything you can do to inflict severe pain on them to stop them from doing what they're going to do,
Right.
you know, in order for you to win the game. And you know, luckily he got a Super Bowl in his time frame with us,
Yeah, he
which
did. I think it's a
he would be
second.
one of those guys that would have been one of the all-time greatest in his position to never win the Super Bowl, and thank God he was able to
He
do
got that in
that.
his rookie. He got that in his rookie year. His first year at
uh
the Raiders, he got a Super Bowl ring.
no,
Yeah, he did.
was
He
it
was
his
a rookie.
rookie?
He was a rookie.
You're right, it was
Mhm.
you're right. No.
Yeah. Oh no, no, this is second year. They
Yeah,
got
as I
yeah,
said, that was his sec because he got it with Marcus Allen.
yeah.
Marcus Allen was the rookie that year.
That's what Rock. Yeah, he got in the second.
Yeah,
Excuse me, that was wrong. But yeah, still,
because he was actually paired up with two other guys we're going to bring up right now too, and that's Greg Townsend was part of that team,
hmm
and so was Lyle Alzado.
yeah,
You know, Lyle came over. He did time with the Cleveland Browns, the Denver Broncos, and was definitely dominant and fearsome with those teams to begin with. Um,
but
but then he came to us, and I think he was even more aggressive, and a lot of that obviously was the possible steroids, which he admitted to himself, admitted out loud before he passed away.
yeah, but
You know that
with those teams,
it was the steroids. I mean,
with the Denver Broncos and the Cleveland Browns, he was out of control. They couldn't control him.
no,
He was usually I think as Cleveland Browns one was where he punched a running back in the face doing practice. What was that? So he did things like that, and they said we had
yeah.
enough of you out of here. Come to
I mean,
Raiders. They let him
the,
loose and said, you know what, you can do all that stuff, but do it to the other team. You know, they let him
the,
loose.
the,
Like, go ahead.
the famous incident with him was the helmet issue against the Jets, where he took, I forget the guy's name now too. I've seen this on different documentaries too, and they've talked about it. Yeah, 3 Mile Isle right away says
Mhm.
Yeah, we'll talk about. We're gonna get to these guys. So if you guys name names, that's cool. But if we don't highlight it right now, we are gonna get to all these different names.
Hmm.
Um, gotta go. Gotta go chat back to work when I get off at 10. If you're still on, I'll be back. All right, man. Um, yeah, 10 o'clock. We should still be on. It's only a half hour. Oh, I don't know where you are. You might be a little bit behind. Chris Ward, that's the name. When he ripped the helmet off of Chris Ward, the offensive lineman for the Jets,
Yeah, I
and
remember that.
basically fucking threw it at him. Didn't hit him, but he had all intentions of hitting him. He said he wanted to hit him.
Yeah, I
You
remember
know,
that.
he wanted to shove that helmet down his fucking throat. Is pretty much what he said. You know, he he had a short fuse. There's no two ways about it.
No.
Uh, one of the best things I think I've seen on his story was when Howie Long talked about him, how much that Super Bowl win meant to Lyle Alzado.
Hmm.
And to if you ever watch the whole story on Lyle Alzado, it's actually pretty interesting what he went through as a kid growing up. Having to protect his siblings, and actually get into fights with his dad over them. Um, but his reaction to winning that Super Bowl, how a guy so mean and so aggressive stood on those sidelines and was crying tears of
Balled out.
joy because
Yeah, he was
he,
balling out. Yeah.
yeah, because he was finally vindicated and got what he's always wanted. And Howie Long talks about that and how
Yeah.
touching that was, you know,
What is
and
you see, you see this big old massive human being that's mean as hell will punch your lights out in a heartbeat. You see him over there crying. That gotta you gotta feel something for that
oh
because
yeah. And
you
and the, the
can't see
the
it.
funny thing is, the first person he called out onto the field after he won the Super Bowl was his best friend, his childhood friend. He
Hmm.
called him out onto the field, and his friend celebrated that Super Bowl on the field with him.
Hmm.
That's how much friends meant to him too. I mean, he was a family guy. He loved his friends, and they loved him back too. If you ever get the chance to watch that special on El Hale, make sure you do, because it's really good,
Yeah.
really really good. And to watch him wither away like he did at the end is just, it's sad.
Yeah, it
It's
was
sad.
all
Man,
that
he was
steroids, man. That was a shame.
he one hell of a player though. I mean, he was just ridiculous. Yeah, yeah, and that's the other thing too. He fought Muhammad Ali in an exhibition fight, but I think Matt Millen said it, or even Howie said nobody told him that it was an exhibition fight. He actually went out there with the intent that he was going to
He
try
was
and
trying to
knock out
kill him.
Muhammad
He
Ali.
was
Yeah,
actually
he's going to try and knock him out. you
yeah.
know, it's
And
like,
I'll like quickly remind you, hey, wait a minute, son, this is my sport.
and
I'm
he
the
said that too.
champ.
He peppered him with a couple of jabs in the face, and Lyle's like, "Ooh,
He
wait a
backed
minute."
off real quick, like, yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
what's
But he
up,
had the courage.
805?
He had the courage to go
Doing,
do it.
brother?
It was up 805. He had the courage to go do it. So hey, they're getting that.
If you watch the video on that too, it's actually pretty funny because you see him hit Ali, and then Ali's like, "Mm-mm.
Yeah,
No, no,
man.
no, this ain't happening."
Yeah,
You
remember
know,
where you are. This is a ring, not a football field.
yeah. I mean, there's been other players from other teams that have gone into like the professional boxing ring,
Oh
and
yeah.
but not in an exhibition style like Gastineau, and just wasn't that good. I'm a bad
That's no
experiment.
guys ass kicked, but anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So and Greg Townsend, another underappreciated. The guy was a sack master, plain and simple. I mean, he was always in the backfield.
And I don't
Um,
think he's in the Hall of Fame.
no, he's not.
Hmm.
He's not,
Why
and he
not?
should be. He should be.
Because he's a
He
Raider.
should
That's why he's in
definitely
the Hall
be.
of Fame.
You know, the fact that he hasn't gone in and how he has, um, not that, trust me, how he belongs there. Definitely belongs there.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but Greg Townsend definitely belongs there, and how he's not in there yet. There's going to be some names on this list that are going to come up, and people are going to be like, "Yeah, he should be in the Hall of Fame," or if he
Quite
is
a
in the
few.
Hall of Fame, some may say he shouldn't, but I don't agree with that. I think everybody that's in there should be in there, especially from the Raiders, because I don't think we get enough respect
We
on these
do
older
not.
players, and that's the other problem. As time goes on, it gets tougher and tougher to get these older players in, like Plunkett. I know we're talking quarterbacks, but sorry, you know. So I mean, you had those three all playing together at the same time: Long, Townsend, Alzado. Um, Alzado didn't stick. I think he was around for what, one more year after that Super Bowl win, and then he kind of semi-retired. And he tried coming back at, I think it was 45 at the time, and that didn't work out. I mean, he tried, but that ended fairly quickly. So you had those three that were just dominant during that
That time period.
that
Yeah, yeah,
early '80s swing. You know, um, so I mean that time frame was pretty good too. And then at that point, Bill Pickel was part of that. I know Jason Downs mentioned Bill Pickel.
yeah.
He was in that group. Um, and then at towards the end of Howie Long's career is when Chester McLaughlin came in.
Mm-hmm.
Because actually, at one point, if I'm not mistaken, if I remember correctly on this, um, when Chester came to the team, he actually stayed at Howie's house. I think he moved in with them for a little while when he was still a rookie. So he really took Darrell Russell like under his wing. I mean, McLaughlin under his wing
Yeah.
to really help train him. He passed. McLaughlin's the one that passed away, right? If I'm not
Russell.
mistaken.
No, Russell.
Oh, I thought McLaughlin too, though.
He might have. I don't think. Did he?
You know what? I got to double check that. I know.
There were
Yeah,
Russell.
2011. Yep,
Okay.
2011.
And that's okay.
Yep, yep. Yeah, he was. How old was he? He was 42 years old when he passed away. 2011.
Hmm. That's right. Sure did.
Yeah, because he came on in '89. Like I said, I mean '92. Um, so he came in at the tail end of Howie's career. Um, he stayed with us for a while. He was really good. I mean,
He was
he was an
decent. I
All
mean,
Pro.
uh,
Huh?
hey, he was decent. I mean,
Oh yeah.
no doubt about it. He was one
I
of the
mean, he
highlights.
didn't have the numbers like Howie did. I mean, he had half the sacks of what Howie Long had. He had like in the 50s. Howie Long finished with like 110, I think it was, off the
Yeah, but
top
see,
of my head.
McLaughlin played different. He played the tackle. So tackles you
Well,
don't
I
get
should
that
say he
many.
was a defensive tackle.
The tackles you don't get that many sacks. That's
Hmm.
defensive end do. So even in those days, the defense ain't usually get most of the sacks because they come from around the corner. The tackles got to push forward. But I tell you one thing, he was a great run stopper. I'll tell you that. He
Yeah.
would
Well, I
stop
mean,
that
look at
run.
the size of him. I mean, he was no little dude.
Yeah,
He
he
was a
stuffed
big
that
boy.
run.
Yeah. Yeah. What was it? He clocked in at, let's see, what was his weight? Clocked in at 334 pounds at 6'3". So,
Yeah, see,
mm,
and that was big. Back in those
yeah.
days, that was big. That was
Yeah.
like, wow,
Now they're,
they're averaging that.
well, I mean, Christian Wilkins isn't a little dude either, though. You
No,
know, he's got some size to him. Let me see. And the other thing too is he was like super, super fucking strong too. He had some wicked strength to him.
yeah, you can tell he take on two blocks, man, still win. Jesus.
Yeah, and Darrell Russell did pass away also too.
Yeah.
That was it. Russell. When did he come into the league? Russell was there in '97 to 2003. Or was it Darrell Russell that was? He passed away in 2005. He was 20. Oh, he's only 29. Damn, I didn't think
It
he was
was
that
young.
young.
So I remember I was at work and some of
Holy
the
shit.
it's USC people that played with him in football. They was there too. The job I was at, and they found out, man, they all just ran out the building, like all four of them, just ran out the building. And they found out.
Holy
I,
crap.
I forgot. I
I
forgot
didn't
how
think
he
he
looked.
was that young. I forgot he was that
Yeah, he was
fucking
young.
young.
He was really young.
Damn. That's right. It was a car accident.
Yeah,
Yep. Damn it. He was still playing at that time too.
it was with the Redskins
Yep.
at that
Yep.
time.
Yeah, he was suspended in 2002 when he was still with us, and then he was going to the Redskins, and then that was it.
Hmm.
Another guy that obviously taken too soon. 29 years old. He still had a few years left in him too.
Yeah,
Which
and he was playing pretty good to me.
Yeah, it was a second overall pick too.
Yeah.
So maybe it was him that was with Howie Long. I think it was him then. I got him backwards. I think. Let's see. Yeah, Russell. Rest in peace, John Madden. What's up, Eric Raiders haters? Chester would tap out. Marv Hubbard, a stud. Alzado, yep. Uh, David Pleak, welcome to the channel, man, brother. Appreciate you. Now we know he had a heart condition when he played. He was gassed out quick. Yeah, Cortez Kennedy.
Mhm.
Yeah, let's see. Greg Townsend was good too. Yep. Yeah, we addressed that last week with Vela. We did a little at the beginning of not last week's show because
What
we
was
never
that?
had our show last week.
Uh,
It was the Thursday night show I did with Nate. Is when I think we did it, or Friday night. I forget now. All these days are all fucking blending together, man. What's
but
up, Where's the flag? For
Draft had a round table show going out to lead. Okay. I don't know what
before
that's
I
all
catch a
about.
charge. Yeah, Ben Davidson's on this list too.
Yeah, he's on this.
Um, when Russ got the stage two of substance abuse policy, it was a liability. Yeah, and then of course it's a car accident he gets killed with, right?
Yep.
So, and then going back again in time here, going back to the '70s, um, Otis Sistrunk. I
Oh,
mean,
six
they
one.
called him. They called him they actually touted him as he was from the University of Mars. So
Yeah.
he was definitely a one of a kind type of guy. I
He
mean,
had he had a unique look about him.
yes, he did. Yes, he most certainly did. Like I said earlier, a look that only a mother could love.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. But hey,
but
we put the helmet on and the things. He didn't look ugly to me. To the other team,
no,
he probably did, but it was
he
tearing him
was
up.
uh, he was definitely one hell of a player. That's for sure. Though
Hmm.
ugly or not, but still one hell of a fucking player.
Well,
Why is this not working? Why can I not? Did my keyboard just stop? Are you fucking kidding me? Sorry. Come
yeah,
on.
two Citron played with Matuzak in them, and
Yeah, here it is. I got it now. All right. So let's see. He's 78 now, so he's still alive.
he's
He's
still alive.
alive and kicking. He was with us from 72 to 78.
Hmm.
Um, Again, he was from an era where they weren't tracking sacks, so there's no telling how many sacks he actually really had. Um,
Yeah,
I know somebody's gone back in the past and looked it up. I'm trying. That's what I'm trying to find right now to see what that number was because I know they did that
because
for quite a few players
according to
back
here,
in
it's
the
yeah,
day.
53 career sacks.
53.
Career sacks. Yes. That's what it says here. I don't know how true that is because, like you said, there was no stats back then on sacks and TFLs, tackles for losses.
Yeah, they didn't
Very
start
detailed.
tracking that until the 80s, or very late 70s, I think it was. Well, man, it might have been the 80s. I figured exactly when it became an official stat. But he was part of the original Super Bowl championship, the one
I'm
from
gonna get,
'76.
I'm gonna give you some here. In 1970, 75, guess how many sacks he had?
In '75,
Guess how
that
many sacks?
one year,
Yeah, 1 year.
15,
You're close, 13 and a half.
13 and a half.
And he's a line, he's a defensive tackle. I mean, and so that was good. And they only played what? They didn't play 17. They played how many games they played?
Back then, 14.
Yeah. So they almost had a
12,
second.
12 or 14?
I think it was 12 or 14. I mean 12. Let me see. Yeah, they played 14.
14.
So
Okay.
then they have I guess sack a game.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. So, he did his due. Had 53 total by the end. And then they didn't count for a lot of other stuff back in those days, but now they count damn near everything. Now they actually looking the color of the shoes.
So let me ask you this: Do you know where they got the University of Mars from?
No, I heard it, but I don't know where they get that from. You know?
Yeah. It was actually on a Monday Night Football game when the camera looked to him, and back when before, you know how when they do the when the team's first out there on defense and they call out, they say, what school and university they came from or whatever.
Yeah, yeah,
Back then they would put like just a blurb underneath their name that would say like where they were from.
right.
Well, the team program had him listed as U.S. Mars, which actually stood for United States Marine Corps. But ABC, when they put it on there, they put U.S. Mars, so everybody called it the University of Mars, and that's where that came from.
Oh, really?
Yep, yep. They put his alma mater as University of Mars. That's how that all started.
I wonder if he laughed at that or got pissed off because that's funny.
I don't know, but I was just reading another thing on it too. It said the ABC commentator and ex NFL player Alex Karras led him. It prompted him to suggest that the extraterrestrial-looking Sistrunk's alma mater was the University of Mars. So when it said U.S. Mars, he called it out as he's from the University of Mars, and that it stuck from that point
Mm.
on.
I
You
heard it,
know,
but I didn't know where it came from. I
yeah,
thought because the way he looked, but
yeah.
okay,
No, I thought it was that too until I looked it up the other day. I was looking about it, and I'm like, that's pretty funny
that is
that
funny.
that's how that came out that way.
All right. So
Good old
any other
man.
tackles?
BBL, what's
The
up, big
lineman in
man?
chat that I didn't mention besides somebody said Ben Davidson, which he's that great feeling, less taste like beer commercial. Remember that?
Yeah,
Uh,
I mean, there's a few we haven't gone over yet for sure.
okay.
Um, Definitely, Ben Davidson is definitely one of those. It
Cool.
just he was just another one of those nasty, nasty, players. You know what it is? These guys from the '70s, they played in that era when you could still do the helmet slap.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, Chris, I know you play. You're a few years older than me. Um, but I don't know, just in joke with your buddies when you're sitting, when you're out on the practice field, if somebody ever slapped you in the helmet,
That shit hurts.
it's not fun.
That shit
It's
hurts.
it
It
hurts
just
and
it
it
just throws you
legit
off.
rings your ears.
It just
It
throws
does.
you off. You're off balance and off kill. You're like for a
Yeah. What's up,
second.
Rita?
That one quick slap, it just boom, like
And
throws you
again,
off.
that's you and I playing, and like I know I played in the mid '80s is when I was in high school from like '84 on up. Um, the helmets weren't the best back then. It
Nah,
was just that squared
the
foam
thin little
plastic. In
foam in it.
some cases it was just a thin style foam, and the area around your ears was wide open, pretty much
Yeah,
inside the helmet. So if one of your buddies, or one of your teammates come up behind you and just smack the back of your helmet, I mean, it would legit ring your ears and kind of disorient you for a split second. So imagine a
plus, plus,
300
plus,
plus
plus another thing was
defensive
that
tackle doing that to you.
those helmets didn't have the foam up front up here,
And you
their
and you could
forehead, and so they hit
yeah,
it. It'll dig into your forehead like
you could always tell the real hard-nosed type players, they would have that cut right at the bridge of their nose because at some point the helmet came down over their nose
yep.
or over their eyes and dug into the bridge of their nose. Those are the guys that, when you see them and they're bleeding from the top of their nose,
That's
one,
what.
either the nose is broken or two, they got ripped out. They got it cut pretty good from their helmet. Um,
Yeah, bike. Just now that he put that up. Yeah, bike care. Yeah, the bike care helmets. Yeah, they were a joke. They weren't no air in those things.
yeah, yeah.
That was a joke.
I had some of my teammates. We used to take our chin straps off our helmets completely, and then just tag the back of someone's helmet.
Wow.
Not in
Yeah.
a game, obviously. Like we'd be standing around in practice, just shooting the shit before we'd get started, and you'd have your helmet on, and all of a sudden you'd hear the double snap come off, and it's like you knew it's coming because someone just ripped their chin strap off and then smack right off the back of the helmet, and that
Damn,
that
yeah.
that tinging sound that would just ring through your helmet and be like, oh. So
Not
again,
us.
imagine a 300
We
plus
couldn't take
defensive end or tackle smacking you full force in the side of the air hole, you know, and then they finally made that illegal. But Ben
not
Davidson was one that was famous
not
for that.
us. If you take one piece of gear off your uniform during practice, you're not playing the next game. So
Yeah.
we had to keep everything on. Because there are times, and I don't want to talk about that. We'll talk about another time. But there are times I'm discussing things that I'm like, get the hell out of here.
But yeah, Ben Davidson played in that era.
Yeah.
Sistrunk was in there during that era.
Hmm.
John Matuzak,
Yep.
um, um, Ted Hendricks, the Stork, was another one. You know,
Mhm.
and again, these are all guys that were cast offs from other teams too.
Yeah.
You know,
We didn't pick. We
and
didn't draft them except for
no,
Howie Long and a couple other guys. But these guys basically were, like you said, castaways. The teams couldn't handle their attitude, or they didn't like it anymore. They said what Al Davis do, which Al Davis was good at. You're a castaway.
happy
We're
birthday,
pirates.
Llama
Come over
Boy.
here. Come over. Come play for us. We're pirates. That's
Yep,
what we do.
yep. Filipiano, the can opener against OJ.
Wow.
Let's see. Fullback Richie was the only modern day player with the forehead bleeding. Yeah, oh yeah, definitely.
We always say
Those are the guys you know could smack it, man. Had a coach in high school that would smack our helmets with a metal whistle if we messed up. Our ears ringing for days. Brutal. Put your ass in the line. Oh yeah, dude, it was horrible. You know, I don't know what hurt worse, the chin strap off the helmet or the full force, just a blunt smack to the ear hole.
You know
Either
this.
would still ring your bell.
I don't mean to change the subject, but I just thought of something. About doing my research earlier this morning by looking at defensive linemen, go back in the old days, so
Yeah.
I can pull up some stats. You know who I forgot played for the Raiders?
Who?
Bubba Smith.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Played
Yeah.
1 year.
It was short lived, but yeah, he
Yeah,
was
one
here with
year.
us.
They played 1 year,
Yep.
yeah. But Bubba Smith played for the Raiders. I like, wow, okay. Hmm.
Ducky. What's up, Ducky? My glove were always ripped when I played. Uh, Played nose because I could do a swim move where I'd smack the center in the face. See, in high school, you could kind of get away with some of that shit. Like they weren't really paying attention to some of that. If you
Yeah,
did it
please,
quick. I
police
know when I
academy.
played semi-pro, I sometimes when I would get down, I would if I was not playing center, I would put a little pinch of dirt in my fingers.
No, I never tried that. On purpose. I
Oh
watched a
yeah,
couple games. Some
yeah,
guys are like, no health
yeah.
insurance, no nothing. You get hurt, you done. Like, bye. No.
I mean, you when I was playing semi-pro, I mean, we were playing against some guys that would just. I mean, we were playing against a lot of like inner city teams out of Boston, and so a lot of these kids were like fucking street thugs, you know. So it's like we come in from where we came, and I mean, granted, we had some city kids on our team too that didn't take no shit either, but you had to think along that mentality. You had to.
Yeah, I'm gonna kick your ass, dude. What you talking
Yeah.
about?
All I know is I wish when I played in high school I had that same aggressiveness when I played semi-pro as an adult because it's like I would have just slaughtered kids back then. I was too nice when I was playing in high school. It's too fucking nice.
Yeah, well, you play semi-pro, man. It basically is a fight for survival because if you play in high school, you got your butt kicked. So pretty
Yeah.
much,
Oh yeah. Nowadays coaches can't do that shit now. I
no.
mean, you get fired so goddamn fast. Yeah. Police Academy, Bubba Smith.
Yeah, please, yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna do the next round. We'll be doing the
Linebacker.
secondary in a couple of weeks. So yeah, we'll definitely because I got a Willie Brown story too.
Yeah,
He's
me
one of the
too.
ones I
I got
love.
my famous Willie Brown that made me a
I
Raider.
was Yeah, it was Pop Warner. I boxed in and played soccer in my school. Didn't have a team.
Into dirt.
Pinch and tear. I'm telling you,
Yeah,
man,
always rub
that
some dirt on
worked.
it. Rub some dirt on it. You be all right.
Got a pinch of dirt in my fingers, and that ball would get snapped, and my hand would come up off the turf and right in the
Oh
face.
yeah, that's one of the dirtiest tricks when they had a dirt field or grass. They'll dig grass and throw it in your face. Like,
Yep,
that was
yep.
dirty.
Didn't care. I didn't
But no
care.
penalties for that.
No,
There
no.
was, you
I
know
was
what?
an adult. Who the fuck cares?
It was no hands to the face. It was none of that stuff. You know, like you watch the old film, they push their head like that. It's
I couldn't
illegal
give
now,
a
but
two
then they'll
shits.
like push their head all the way off their neck. Back in those days, like I said, football got the soft. Hey, cool kid, what's up? Football got the soft. Well, that's another story. We talked about that last night. But
And then like some of the other talking points we wanted to hit tonight too is how the Raiders always had an attitude on the defensive line. For years we were always like that feared front. It hasn't been that way for a while with this team. We've had some lean years on that defensive front.
Hmm.
Um, like if we go straight up to like current team right now, you know, some of that tenacity is there now. If you
It's
look at our current roster,
it's starting to come.
we've got
You see, it's starting to come back. Max Crosby. He was the one thing with Max Crosby. Excuse me, I'm gonna say this. You said they should trade Max Crosby because he want to be traded. He didn't want to be traded. He wanted to get some better players. Getting Christian Wilkins, re-signing Coons, bringing back Adam Butler, probably get a couple of guys like DK Tugo, where his name is Tufo, things like that. That's what Max Crosby asking for. Just bring some guys in here to help me out. I'm doing the best I can. Don't expect
yeah,
me to get 15 sacks every year. Expect me to I play my
yeah.
hardest. But other
He's
guys,
he's never had 15 in a year, so that would be
that's
great
what
when it finally does happen.
I'm gonna say.
It
Don't
would be
expect me to
nice.
get. Yes, I'm gonna say don't expect me to get 15. What the things going on, but
Yeah.
you can see some of the tenacity starting to come back. Last year was starting off good with Wilkins and then Mills, miss mine on Kuntz, but you see it started to come back to everybody started getting hurt. That's what I want to see back. I want to see back to the 80s and 70s defensive
Well,
line.
and that's
Yes.
that's kind of what I feel like we're getting to that stage now, because like I said, for years it was real lean on that
Mm-hmm.
defensive front. We weren't overly aggressive up front like it had been in the 80s and into the 90s. You know, that's why when you look back at this list of players that were there during that time frame, there's none that make me go, "Oh yeah, he was so fucking awesome." The team sucked during those eras.
In the
You know,
90s, late
they
90s, early
just they were
2000s.
just yeah, we just were not that good.
Mm.
Uh, One of the brightest spots we had at one point was everybody got excited when we brought Warren Sapp in. You
And
know, Warren
no,
Sapp's a piece of crap in my book. I can't stand the guy.
I
The
thought
fact that when he left the team, he bad talked us. I have nothing good to say about him other
I
than he
I
played for us at
thought
one point.
I think he warms happy. I said, "Damn, defense is going to now get better." And you know what? It just stayed where it was. It didn't move the needle. It just stayed right there. Like, well, what's going on? But then okay, we had people like Ted Washington on the team. Only person that was a bright
Yeah,
spot on that team was Warren Sapp was Tom Kelly. That's the only person that really did something on that team in the 2000s that I liked. And they are mentioned him a lot of times. But Warren Sapp was like, no, didn't work.
just a quick. Oh, like Bill Pickel's another one that was in there during the '90s. You know, definitely was an underrated guy. Bob Golick's another one. You
Yeah.
know, was good, wasn't great, was good, but he's not one that you go, oh shit, yeah, you're right, he was fucking awesome. Nah, you
Well,
know,
he's
Scott
serviceable. He
Davis,
did.
another. This is what I'm talking about. Like Scott Davis was another one during that time frame. Nothing
Right.
to really write home about. I mean, yeah, they were okay.
They did their thing. They had their highlights, but it wasn't dominant like it was before. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
They weren't like, because all those teams, you hear the names, but it's always somebody different on every play doing
yeah,
something.
yeah. I'm just looking through here to see who else for those years, like in the '90s, if there's anybody that really sticks out.
No, besides
Um, Nolan Harrison.
Milton
Yeah,
Harrison. Eh,
I mean, when we get to the linebackers, it might be a little bit different story. But on the defensive front, Chester obviously in the '90s was there.
Chester, Howie Long, yeah.
Yeah. Let's see,
Anthony
90,
Smith. Jerry
90.
Ball was a freaking bust. I don't care what anybody say.
Yeah, Jerry Ball came over in '94. Howie was gone already. So
He was
Howie wasn't there in '94. He retired after '93.
he was a bust.
Um, you had Anthony Smith,
No, he-
Chester McLaughlin, Jerry Ball, and Nolan Harrison in that era. Again, like I said, nothing to really,
nothing to write home about. Like
other than McLaughlin, Pat Swilling was here with us for a little. He had 13 sacks in '95.
he was decent. I'll
Yeah,
say he was decent. Uh, then Russell Maryland, he was pretty good at clogging that middle up. It wasn't a
he
sack.
came in the following year. Yeah, Russell Maryland was the next year.
Oh, he played
Um,
with Swilling and McLaughlin.
yeah,
Yeah,
Swilling, McLaughlin, Russell Maryland, and Lance Johnstone. Those
yeah,
were our two ends and our two front tackles.
yeah.
Um,
He was a good run stopper. He wasn't a sack master, but you tell you he was stuff that got them run.
and then in '97, you had Darrell Russell was the rookie, Maryland, McLaughlin, and Anthony Smith. So that was your front four.
Hmm.
'98, Russell Maryland, Johnstone, and James Harris. Another, eh.
Yeah, Maryland Russell was like the only thing that really like yeah.
Yeah,
But
see,
other than that,
Russell and Maryland were there until 2000. Because
yeah,
at 2000, it was just Russell. Then Grady Jackson. That's when Grady Jackson showed
Great
up.
Jackson came in. Yeah,
Yeah. Remember Tony Bryant? He was
who's that?
exactly.
And when I don't say nothing, you ask me a question. I think it's funny. See, some of the names I've seen, but like
Uh,
a lot of that Lawrence
um,
Grant. I'm like who?
all right,
John
so
Perilla.
now we're in what year is this? This is 2001. So it was Reagan Upshaw, Russell, Grady Jackson, and Tony Bryant again. The most sacks were 7 sacks by Upshaw. So I mean, that's what I mean. Like our front defensive line was not the best in the world.
No,
You know, it, the year after was even worse. DeLawrence Grant, Sam Adams, John Perella, Tony Bryant. The most sacks out of that front group, two and a half, three by DeLawrence Grant.
are you shitting me?
So I mean that starting front was not
That
good.
was yeah, that
Oh
was
three, the same thing in 03, pretty much the same. Trace Armstrong was there now. So it's like, oh good God. You look at this list. That's why there's nobody really. Yeah, Warren Sapp shows up in 2004.
and did absolutely nothing.
Yeah, 2.5 sacks.
Yeah, I'm saying did nothing. Yeah, see, that's when Rivers' defense was really, really sad.
Yeah,
Sad.
yeah, yeah. Because then here's the first good year really for a guy on sacks. So in 2005, Derek Burgess shows up, 16 sacks that season.
Yeah.
Warren Sapp had 5, and then we had Ted Washington and Bobby Hamilton. And Washington, there's no stats for him at all.
I don't think. Ted Washington?
Yeah, Warren Sapp had one decent year, 2006. He had 10 sacks, but Derek Burgess had 11.
Yeah, I don't see.
Then Tommy Kelly was there then.
What year was that? Ted Washington?
2000.
2000?
Yeah, 2006.
For Ted Washington?
No, Ted Washington was 2005. 2004. Sorry.
Yeah, they don't show no stats on him.
So like the late '90s all the way through the 2000s was they were all
Pretty
mid.
horrid. Pretty
None of
horrible.
these guys, one good year from Burgess at 16 sacks, and the rest were all, for the most part, just garbage.
Just there.
Seymour shows up in 2009, and he only has 4 sacks. I mean, his most famous thing is the face shove he did on Roethlisberger that day.
Oh, yeah,
That
that was funny. Yeah. I was going to touch my shoulder and get the fuck
yeah.
back. Lamar Houston did all right.
Let's see. All he did was collect the paycheck. Yeah, that's pretty much what Warren Sapp did. He was fucking useless. I hated that guy. Still do.
He's
Late
not.
'90s, Mo Collins, Adam Trejo, Lincoln Kennedy. Well, you're talking offense. We're only talking defensive end, defensive front line. So that's tackles, ends, and then we're going to get into linebackers next. So it's just a brief over history of some of the Raider greats and not so greats. Um, Raiders do have a lot of bust draft picks. Yeah, we do.
Oh, of course.
Did Swilling have 16 sacks one year? Yeah, I think that's what it was. It was what's up, RI Raider? Yeah, I think he had
Yeah.
that one year I looked it up. It was 16 sacks. I think I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Or was that was Burgess? I'll go
Oh,
back real quick.
uh,
Man. I love this. Oh, thank you. I appreciate you. Make sure you get over to Chris Four Raiders page too. This guy.
Appreciate it if you do.
How good was Reggie Kinlaw? I don't even think I got into him yet, did I?
Kinlaw? No, we haven't got to him. No, not yet.
I don't even see his name on here. What year was he in here?
I don't even see him. What year was Kinlaw? Was he a linebacker or was he? His name something.
If he was a linebacker, I'm not even looking at linebackers yet. That's the next go around.
You talking Reggie Kinlaw talking about now these days? No, well, not talking about that. We're talking
Well, I'm
about
up to
Kinlaw now.
2011, and there's still no one other than Seymour that stands out. Again, Tommy Kelly was there, but again, that was hit or miss. Tommy Kelly. Let's see. Oh, here we go. So in 2013, these was our front four: Lamar Houston, Vance Walker, Pat Sims, and Jason Hunter.
Wow,
So, needless to say, that was like a huh?
like no names.
Yeah, yeah. And that was uh, Jason Tarver was the defensive coordinator during that. So then the following year, we had C.J. Wilson, Antonio Smith, Justin Ellis, and Justin Tuck.
Now
Sack master for us was
Tuck,
Tuck at
Tuck,
5.
Tuck was the only person there that did something.
Yeah, 5 sacks. That's all he got. And then he was
I'm
gone.
talking
He
about
wasn't even there the next year. We got him
his
for 1 year.
leadership. His leadership was there because he had the next group of tackles. That one guy.
So 2015 is where we start to come back again because 2015 is
Yeah,
Khalil Mack's
Mac,
rookie season.
Denico Autry.
Yep, Denico Autry had 3 sacks that year. We had Dan Williams, Justin Ellis, and Khalil Mack. Mack had 15 sacks that season.
But that was a. But see, I remember seeing this on TV. Justin Tuck when his rookie year, Justin Tuck win the game. He did something. He got a sack or a stop or something Highland scrimmage. And you can hear Khalil Mack say, "Hey, how'd you do that? Show me that move." See, so Tuck was teaching him how to play. How'd you do that? Show me that move. So Tuck
2016,
was like a of like an influence to Khalil Mack.
yeah.
2016.
Long and Townsend were the best duo first half of the L, definitely. Kelly and Sands. Anthony Smith was very good, but apparently he's good. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, Burgess had 16 that season. Let's see. Peter agree about Townsend and Long. What's up, Napoano? So boys at a family function, but just dropping by to say show some love and Raiders. What's up, man?
What's up, man? Thanks a lot.
Justin Tuck, yeah, he tried. He was past his prime by the time he
He
got to
was
us.
he
What's
was
up,
old,
Sean
but
City?
he was a good influence on the team. That's what I'm saying. He wasn't
Yeah.
like Sagmaster.
Was it his second year, 2015? Then he didn't do anything. Let me go back. I'm going to go back now. 2016, 2015. Was he just not part of the rotation? Oh, yeah, you're right. He was. His rookie season, he had 4 sacks. The following year, he fucking lit it up.
Yeah, yeah.
But you know what it is? His first year, they had him at linebacker. His second year, they had him listed on the
They put him on
roster
line.
as an end.
Well, he came
Yeah.
out of college as a linebacker, but they put him on the
Yeah.
end.
So his first year with us, they had him slated as a linebacker. That's why he wasn't showing up on that front four. The second year with us, where he had 15 sacks, which obviously was a good move, putting him on end,
Yep,
they moved him to right defensive end, and that's where he had the 15 sacks.
exactly. Yeah,
So
because
what was that?
2014, he was with
2017.
Burris Moore and
Mhm.
Khalil Mack were the linebackers. But we'll get to that
So
in a minute.
2017, Mac had 10 and a half sacks. Vanderdos, Mario Edwards, and Justin Ellis were the other front four. So I mean, and then 2018, Mac is gone.
Go on.
Arden Key, Jonathan Hankins, Maurice Hurst, and Forrest Rucker.
Hankins was okay. Hurst was like I don't hit and miss because he left here and went somewhere else and became good. So he was a hit and miss.
Yeah, was
Arden Key was I don't know. But Hankins was a good run stuffer too. I'll tell you that he was a good run stuffer. not a whole lot of sacks.
Mm.
How many sacks do you have?
Who?
Not too many.
Who?
Jonathan Hankins had
That
seven.
year he had none.
Yeah, he had none. I'm looking. Well, he had one sack. Hold up. What? Huh? Nah,
For his career, he had 18 and a half.
18. Yeah. So he wasn't nothing, but he was a good run stuffer.
Yeah, this past season, he had one sack. Um, so where was I here? So actually, in 2019 is when Max Crosby came on, and that's the Khalil Ferrell.
That's the Pharaoh.
So him, PJ Hall, PJ Hall, Jonathan Hankins, and Max Crosby. And we all know how the Max Crosby era started. He started as a rookie with 10 sacks.
Yep.
A guy that wasn't even expected to be a starter. You
Yeah,
know,
from a not a small school, but a
yeah,
small school.
Western Michigan,
Yeah,
whatever it is, right?
Eastern
Western Michigan,
Michigan.
no, Eastern Michigan,
Yeah,
in the Michigan.
it was small. It wasn't like a big powerhouse school, but he came in
Yeah,
there. What, the third round, fourth round, third round?
I forget off the top of my head.
The chat. What is the third round?
I can tell you in a second.
Oh, my boy
Um,
Randy Ends in the building. Let me say something real quick. I like reading the chat before, but I'm gonna ask a question. He said, "Hey, Eddie Murphy and Dan Aykroyd." So, Randy Yen, when you say that names, you got to specify who's Dan Aykroyd, who's Eddie Murphy.
I'm Eddie Murphy.
That's what I was saying.
So from that point on, I mean, we all know how the defense lined up. It was Max Crosby was always the number one guy.
Yeah.
We tried bringing in some other guys. Like one of my favorite that we did bring in recently, Ngakwe. But for some reason we just didn't want to stick around with him, or he didn't want to be here. I mean,
No, he
he
did.
came in with us. He had 10 sacks. I mean, he had a good
No.
year.
No, he wanted to be here. He even said it. He wanted to join. He wanted to come back, but the Reds wouldn't sign him. I don't know if it was the money issues or not, or the play style, because
Yeah.
it's not on him as he couldn't stop he couldn't set the edge for the run game when they ran on the side. He was a lousy
So
run stopper. So that's the news I heard, but I don't know if it was the money, his attitude, or what. But he did
yeah,
want to
I'm
come
not
back,
sure.
and Max wanted him back
Well, and in 2022, instead of having Ngakwe, that's when Chandler Jones showed up. So
and paid all that money
yeah,
for
yeah.
nothing.
So if we just, for the hell of it, you look back through Max's career with us, right? The most sacks he's had in the season was in 2023 at 14 and a half. So he's never had 15 sacks, obviously.
Okay,
He's got in total 59 and a half. So if say he's halfway through his NFL life, so he's played 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 seasons. So if he puts through another 6 seasons, he should on average finish with 100 sacks by the time that's over, to 120, because he's averaging 10 a year basically is
yeah,
what it comes down to. So will he be up there with one of the all-time greats with the Raiders? Yeah, I think so. I
I
think
think
he
so.
already kind of is.
He's starting to get a little more help now because you guys, all Raider fans know, you watch the TV game, they always holding him, double teaming him. He's getting a lot of it because he had no help from nobody. Nobody was a threat. Coons came along and helped him out, and so what's his name? Um, what's the guy that Chase on all them guys? They kind of helped him on the edges. So maybe now, hopefully Wilkins will stay healthy. He can push that middle, and then Crosby get more sacks, more opportunities. Plus,
Yeah.
if you look at Max, sometimes he over pursues the sack. Because when you're talking about that game against Tampa Bay against Mayfield, he was just running right past him. Because Mayfield was a slippery little bastard. But sometimes he over pursues a sack.
What, what was that guy's name again? 805 mentioned.
Uh, 805 Mr. Win.
What do you remember the name he said?
Uh, there's a lot of names mentioned. I'm trying to remember.
No, there was one specific he mentioned.
How good
I
was Reggie Kinlaw? That one?
the one.
Reggie Kinlaw. Mention that. I don't see other names. 805, what names you mentioned? Put it back in the chat. I don't remember. He said Reggie Kinlaw a while back, but other than that, that's the only name I see.
Trying to see where he showed up here.
79, 84.
Oh, 79? All right, I went too far
Yeah,
back.
79, 84.
He's not on the 79 1980 roster.
Uh,
There he is, Reggie Kinlaw.
what year was
He
that?
played 98 games, 8 sacks with us.
Oh, I see him now.
6'2", 245-pound nose tackle. Um,
I see him now. 6'2", 245. I got it here.
he was drafted in the 12th round, number 320 overall in the 79 draft. He was with us from 79 to 84. Then he spent his last 2 years with the Seahawks.
Hmm.
There's really nothing in here about him.
That's
All
him
right,
about that.
he was with us for both Super Bowls. Last played in 1986. He had 8 sacks over his career, so he was really just more of a spot player, I guess you would say. Um, based on this, they say he's not in the Hall of Fame. So,
A lot of players on this now in the Hall of Fame.
yeah, he's 68 right now. That's about all. There's really not much on him.
Hey, welcome, James. I got shout out to James because he's on his break, so he only gets here for a few minutes. So
Good
shout
James,
out
what's
to
up,
James
good James?
Furbo on break on his last one.
Where is he? Where is he? Oh,
Towards
there
my,
he is.
I just saw because
What's
I'll
up,
make sure.
James?
I was gonna make sure we anytime we see he come in the chat, we gotta make sure shot because he's always on a break, so we gotta make sure he get his shout out.
Gonna give him the Raiders. That better? I can't do that too loud. It's already my wife's already in bed. She'll have my ass. Yes, thank you, Sacktown Mike. I appreciate you. All
Thanks.
right, so I guess we've kind of beat the defensive lineman out of existence here. I mean, there was some lean years through the late '90s into up until I would say Khalil Mack. Really,
Yeah, so we got Cleo Mack because it was
you
like
know, I mean,
there
yeah,
were
we
no
had
names.
some.
There were no
Yeah,
names worthy that I remember. Like who?
just Burgess that 1 year with 16 sacks. If you're going just based on names, you're talking guys like Seymour, Sapp, um, Burgess that one season pretty much. I mean, that's your defensive lineman during that era was just not good.
Mm,
You know, the team wasn't that good either. So, I mean,
no,
we weren't getting any pressure anywhere on some of these teams. No wonder we
no.
were so shitty. Um, so
Especially
now
especially in
we can,
'97, we went 4-12.
yeah. So we already discussed who the most. Well, actually, no, we haven't. We'll leave this to the chat. Who would you consider the most feared D lineman during their time? So just throw out names. If you say we're not going to say, oh no, you're wrong. It's whatever name you feel as though was one of the most feared defensive linemen during their time frame when they played. I mean,
Yeah,
go as far back as you want, go as current as you want. I don't care. We don't care. It doesn't matter.
yeah. Well, your
Um,
opinion matters anyway. All your opinions matter.
yeah.
Just getting dark in here.
What's up, Rock? How you doing? Rock says Richard Seymour.
Hey, Slew Rock.
Sacktown Mike
Alzado.
says Alzado. James Firpo, Howie Long. All right, Raider, Howie Long. Wasn't showing Long, a scary motherfucker. Khalil Mack, when he had 5 sacks against the Broncos. Yeah.
Yeah,
Alzado, yeah. Duckies
Howie.
saying Howie.
Pretty much like mostly Howie's, and then Alzado.
Yeah, how he was. I don't know if I would classify him as scary.
I tell you, he's most respected one. I
I
tell you
mean,
that.
yeah, yeah. Well, I think the other thing too is he moved around, man, on that front line, so you didn't know where he was coming from. Teams had a plan for him, in other words. So was he scary on how you were going to plan out your game plan? Yeah,
Mm,
yeah. He definitely impacted offenses on what they were going to do against them,
yeah,
without a doubt.
because sometimes lines up in, and sometimes lines up at tackle. He was all over the place.
See, I think Seymour was
Hey, you guys.
Seymour's one of those guys that struck me as should have been a Raider from day one.
Okay, I got any moderators in my channel?
What was it?
Get that guy out of here, Robert Sterling. That's the guy I was talking about earlier that kept talking to. He just coming here just like being thank you. He just come
Probably.
in just like you guys don't know anything. So that's the guy. If anybody see Robert Sterling in any one of our chats, kick him out immediately. Ban him. Appreciate it. Any of my moderators in here.
I don't know what. Oh, he was on my channel.
Yeah, Randy said, yeah, I said in the chat, Chris,
Yeah.
you are that accurate for sure. Oh, thank you, Randy. Yeah. I know it. I told you.
Let's see. Long Townsend, but Alzado and Matuzak on Maniacs. Could you imagine Matuzak and Alzado playing together at the same time? Holy shit.
No, I can't because NFL will ban it. They'll say no, they can't do that. It's against the
Let
rules.
let let's put this front four together right here.
Wait. Hold
Okay.
on. What are you gonna say first? Go ahead.
No.
I have a feeling.
So let's put this front four together. All right.
Okay.
Alzado, Matuzak, Ted Hendricks, Ben Davidson. You're talking about four of the most unstable mental
Nutcases.
on this team as possible in that group, all on the same front line. And then if you throw the linebackers into it, you put Matt Millen, you put Villapiano, and you add one more, Romanowski, in that linebacker group. You put those three at linebacker, and you put that four up front. Oh dear lord! And
That's
you
what
put them in the '70s when they could do the helmet slaps and shit like that and get away
that
with stuff. With
that
that
sound like
group of nasty ass bastards, holy fuck!
that sound like an Salem roll call right there. Saying a Salem roll.
That's like a prison football team. That's
No,
Mean
it's a,
Machine right there.
no,
That's the
that's
Mean Machine team.
what's that thing in the back? What's that thing back? Arkham? What's that? Arkham? Salem? Whatever it's called.
Oh, Arkham Asylum.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
Yeah. I mean, could you imagine that in the '70s with that group of five guys, seven guys,
Could you imagine that now,
with in the '70s where you could get away with that shit? Oh my
bro?
lord!
Can you imagine that group now, even
The
with the
teams would
rules?
not want to even come out on the field. Offenses wouldn't want to come out on the field. Fran Tarkenton, perfect example. Look at how he ran around, he was a scrambler before the scrambling quarterbacks were even
He
a
was.
thing.
Yeah.
Now, people can disagree with me all they want, but he was.
He
He was
was.
one of the greatest scramblers of all time back there.
Mhm.
He would be running for his life, screaming, trying to get away from that group because he knows they're going to eat him alive.
I could
Oh my
imagine.
god!
I can imagine them playing against Mahomes, man. He probably wouldn't go out there. He probably
Oh,
start crying on. I don't want to play.
Miss Piggy would be single because Kermit be dead.
You
They'd
was.
be
I don't
flying
want
up them frog legs on the sideline.
You say, Coach, I
Holy
broke my.
shit!
You say, Coach, I broke my fingernail. I can't throw the ball. I don't want to go out there. Put in Minshew now.
Even a running back, if he knows it's a running play and he's getting the ball, he's sitting back there like this. So like, what the fuck? Which way to? No, no, no.
That's crazy.
Oh my god! I wish
So
we could just.
we covered the linemen, and we have some greats and not so greats. So, well, what do you think now? Want to talk about linebackers?
Oh hell yeah! It's time for moving into the linebackers. So here we go,
One by
linebackers.
us. My favorite defensive people.
Yes, it is. So I know we brought some of these names up, but because the way the league played the position or handled the position and teams use the position, you're going to see a name on here that actually was slated as a linebacker, but because of how he played, he kind of was like an edge rusher.
Yeah,
Um, Ted
yeah,
Hendricks, that's the first one that comes to mind.
yeah.
Um, so we'll just run through the list real quick here. So you've got guys like Ted Hendricks, Villapiano, Matt Millen,
Mhm.
your favorite Rod Martin,
Yes, sir.
Kirk Morrison, Greg Beekert, Thomas Howard, and Robert Thomas, um, and Bill Romanowski. I mean, those are the guys that kind of come to the forefront when you think of the linebackers through the rate for the Raiders through the years.
2 years,
You
yeah.
know, you're starting from the '70s, working your way up to the 2000s because Thomas Howard and Robert Thomas were in that 2000s bracket.
Mhm.
And they were more of like the speedy type linebackers. You know, um, Kirk Morrison was another one from the 2000s. Um, you know, he was a really good linebacker for us in that time frame. He was steady, reliable, the whole 9 yards. He didn't have the speed of Howard or Thomas, um, but he was still one of the best we had. Without a doubt. Um, if we look at like if we start with we'll start with your guy. Why don't you talk about Rod Martin? And we'll go from there with him.
All I'm saying, Rob Martin just because I played linebacker, and you play a certain position, you look at a position on the football teams. I thought his play style, the way he played, he was always in the play. He was always around the ball. And man, he looked vicious out there, man. The way he hit, the way he was a sure tackler, what I like.
Hmm.
He get your hands on you, you're going down, or he gonna hold you up so some else can come pop you. And what that vision is, you'll think that Rob Martin's one of those like you see him walking down the street. Hey, you Rob Martin. You think you're like just walk past you. Dude. No, he will stop and say something to you. How you doing? With everything else. Then to me, he was a real person. That's why he's my favorite player of Raiders of all time.
I respect the guy 100%. I thought he was one of our great linebackers of all time. To be honest with you,
Mm-hmm.
um, he had a tremendous Super Bowl.
Yeah,
There's no
three
two ways
interceptions.
about that.
Three
You know,
interceptions. Yeah.
Yeah, 3 interceptions in one game. I mean, it's like,
Better than
Jesus
some
Christ.
cornerbacks. Some cornerbacks who didn't get that D back. So yeah,
No, no. So he came into the league in '77. So he missed the Super Bowl,
just
our
missed the Super
first
Bowl.
Super Bowl by one season. He would have played in all three
Yeah,
if he would have come out 1 year earlier. Obviously,
just missed it.
uh, yeah, really, seriously. He was a 12th round pick back when the NFL had 12 rounds. He was number 317 overall in the '77 draft. Um, and he wasn't. You can remember at that time frame, the sizes were different. Like
Mm-hmm.
the guys weren't really huge. I mean, he was tall, 6'2". I mean, that's not a short dude. He was
That's
six
almost
foot
like
two.
average. That's average
Yeah,
height.
he's 6'2", 218 was his play weight. Um, and he came from. You're a USC fan, right?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, I mean, and that's the other thing for you. Another reason I think why you liked him so much too is the fact that he's
yeah. That's
from right
probably
there.
that's
You
some of
know,
it.
yeah, you know. So, um, so again, he was a rookie in '77. He has. Let me look at his stats. So even for a linebacker, he's got 56 and a half career sacks.
Mhm.
That's impressive.
That's
You
yeah.
know, one year, 1981, he had 10. These are the 2 years he had the most. He had 10 sacks in 1981, and he had 11 in 1984. Um, but you got to look at in his case, with linebackers, it's more about the tackles and um, you
Just
know
like mostly
what
stopping
they
the
do.
run.
Yeah,
Just mostly that was
exactly.
linebackers thing, backing up the line of scrimmage. That's what they call linebackers.
Yeah,
So
and even interceptions. I mean, he had 14 interceptions throughout his career. He was a Raider from start to finish.
hmm
When was with Oakland, and then when we made the move to LA, he was part of that group too.
hmm
So he was Raider through and through from '77 to 1988. So I mean, he's one of those extremely respected players because he stayed here his whole life. You
He
know,
stayed his whole career. Yeah,
yeah, yeah, and that he's a true through and through Raider. You know,
there.
when you
Yeah,
think
I
of
say
Raider,
he's one of the definition. He's one. If you say once Raiders, always Raiders, his picture's right next to that.
oh
He's one
hell
of
yeah,
those guys.
yeah, yeah. I'm trying to find where's his tackles listed. Does it even show that? Um, no, it doesn't.
His tackles. Let me see. Let's see if I can find it.
I'm shocked it doesn't show that.
Uh,
Would have thought I would have put that in there, but I guess not.
wait. No, I don't. Am I looking at? It don't show his tackles.
Hmm.
Wait a minute. Wait. Nope.
Yeah, and again, he was always listed as like a clutch player too. Like you could always count on him to be around the ball, um, regardless of where he was in the field.
Yeah,
You know, he
he
wasn't the fastest, but man, he could play.
always made that key stop. Teams trying to go for it. He made that key stop.
Yeah,
He was always
yeah,
right there. That's why I like him so much because he was always involved in the plays. He didn't take no plays off.
yeah.
Yeah, that's my favorite guy.
Let's get back to let's see. Yeah, Beakert's in there too. See, 80, 81 season, there may have been a Matuzak and Alzado combo. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'd have to double check the stats on that. What's up, Freddie?
Hey, Freddie, Bill
Yeah,
Romo,
Bill Romo, Matt
Matt Millen.
Millen,
Yeah.
Red Martin, my favorite defender, along with Lester Hayes.
Mhm.
Yeah, in a few weeks we'll be doing the secondary, so yeah, that name will you'll be hearing that name again many times, I'm sure.
Yeah, we're doing D
Uh,
backs next week, right? Not next week, but week after next.
yeah, because next week
The draft.
we're gonna recap draft past drafts for the Raiders.
Right.
That'll be a fun one.
Phew. Yeah, we had a lot of great drafts.
That's
Oh,
gonna be a fun one for the shitty years that we draft.
oh my God.
God, I mean we're gonna do it. Regardless, it's fitting that the draft is the
Coming
week
up.
after.
Compare and contrast the worst and best drafts, which I think is more worse than best. So
Rod Martin had a great Super Bowl
he did.
18 as well. Yeah, he did.
He did. He had a great career. I don't care what you say about it. He had a great career.
I got his autograph.
I see. I wish I would have, and I had a chance to, and I didn't. I wasn't.
I
I wasn't with that. What's you call? I lived in LA, so I wasn't a stargazer because you see him all the time, so you don't think about it.
yeah,
And then you see him, hey, you talk to him, blah blah, and you move on. And like, damn, I could get all these guys autographs when I was a nigga. I was at the Coliseum all the time because USC was right there. I was hanging out there too. But you don't think about it.
Freddie, we're only talking Raiders tonight. We're talking Raiders history. Besides that, that's the Browns. We don't care.
Yeah, we're not talking about current football days right now.
Yeah, we're doing old school stuff.
Yeah. The old guys.
So next up would Ted Hendricks again. We kind of talked about him a little bit earlier on. You know, obviously his nickname was the Mad Stalk.
Mm-hmm.
And he was dominating in his time. He's a Hall of Famer. You know, that's
Mm-hmm.
another one. And that's the other thing too. Rod Martin needs to be in the Hall of Fame. I don't know how that hasn't happened yet.
Nope. There are a few guys that we didn't have a show about who should be, who should not be in the Hall of Fame, but that's another show. But yeah, he should be, but of course not.
No, I mean we're going to be biased. We're just going to sit here and read through the roster every year of every Raider player ever in
Every
existence.
Raider player should be in the Hall of Fame.
No, we can do that though. We can definitely do that. We can
Well,
discuss, and I want to do that too. When
we can do the year of the inductees and where the Raiders stood, and well, I
yeah,
said,
like
okay,
when it gets to the Saturday before the Hall of Fame game, we can do the whole induction thing. The week before, we can talk about um, Hall of Famers for the Raiders that are in the Hall of Fame and who should be in the Hall of Fame. So that'll be a show for the future for sure. See, good,
awesome.
good idea.
Yeah, I'm
Um,
glad. I'm glad you made me think of it.
yeah, good job. See, we're working right. Ted Hendricks, like I said, the Mad Stalk. I mean, the guy was a character,
He
If you
was.
ever watched any of his antics, whether it be on the sideline or in games, I mean, the guy he was unique. He was original. I mean, he's one of a kind.
You
Um,
watch him like he enjoyed playing football. You know what? It wasn't all about the
yeah,
money for him. He just enjoyed the fun, I can't say that word, the friendship and all that stuff around the team. He just tell he enjoyed it. But don't get on his bad side. You do not want to piss him off.
no, I had the luxury of meeting him years ago. Shit, probably like around maybe 1990. They used to do a Special Olympics like cavalcade of stars that would come
Right.
around, and they would go to the Providence Civic Center, which is like a major arena around here.
Oh.
Uh, and it would be like, Muhammad Ali would be there, a bunch of pro wrestlers would be there, retired football players, baseball players, and he was there, and that's one of the reasons I went was because Ted Hendricks was going to be there. I got to find it. I've got a picture of him and I, together at that event, and you pay X amount of dollars to get your picture taken with them. But back then it was all, it was Polaroids because it was an instant photo, so you could go home with it. So I brought a bunch of my, huh? Yeah.
I just
So I
remember
brought
Polaroid.
a, yeah, it was a Polaroid,
I
like,
remember Polaroid.
see
And
the
you got that
sound,
flap
right?
it and we get
You
to
heard
dry
the
it out.
sound, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah, you have
Right?
to do this to dry it. Like,
Yeah, and you're doing this with the film afterwards. Yep, holding it, standing there like this. Yeah. And he autographed the picture. And then I brought a bunch of my football cards with me, and he autographed a bunch of those, and I gave a couple to my best friend, who's a Raiders fan to this day, the two of us. And when I look back at that picture and I look at what he was wearing, now I understand fully how fucking warped this guy was in the head. So he had on if I remember correctly, it was a blue blazer, but it was corduroy. That I remember.
mm-hmm,
The pants were, remember the old Sunday cartoons in the the Sunday paper, how it was all colored, obviously. You
mm-hmm.
know, basically take a bunch of those and make a pair of pants out of them. That's
Right.
pretty much what he was. I mean, they were cloth, they weren't newspaper, but that's the images that were on his pants that day.
I
So
remember
it
there
it
was like
it looked like
pictures.
Walt Disney World threw up on his pants. I mean, it
It
was
was,
just
it was
all
like
colors.
pictures and stuff, like on his pants, something like that, like all kind
Yeah,
of
yeah, it
design.
was
Yeah,
all like caricatures, and it was
yeah.
all in bright, bright colors, and it just, I mean, this guy was, he was out there. Uh, Great guy though. I mean, he towered over me, and I'm 6 feet, and I'm looking up at him while we're standing there. You
Yeah.
know, so yeah, I still got that picture, and I got the cards all still autographed by him. They're all in my little pockets. But yeah, that was cool to meet him. Definitely, definitely.
Mm.
But yeah, he was a weird one, man. But man, was he good though. Again, that product of the '70s. One of those that made the Raiders in the
Mhm.
'70s. You know, um, another one is Matt Millen. From that era. Well, not the '80s, the '70s era, but Matt Millen was there for the '80s and the Super Bowl run where he was with the team with Howie and Alzado.
Mhm.
Um, do you have What are your thoughts on Millen? Like, what do you remember about him?
He he wasn't a character, but he was pretty vicious. Don't I don't know. He was just I don't know. I can't describe him. He was insane. It's like one of the guys that run to a wall with head first without a helmet. Type of guy to me. That's a guy.
Yeah,
I couldn't really figure
you're
him
not
out.
wrong.
Him and Romanowski, they both remind me like you guys are just crazy. You know
Well,
what I'm
that's
saying?
why I said. I mean, just picture him and Romo on the same team together.
Yeah.
If you could put that together, oh my god,
It's
how
like,
awesome that would fucking be!
what are
Right?
you doing? It's like, dude, what are you doing? You just, you know, you just get penalties for no reason, unnecessary roughness. And like, so walk away.
So Matt Millen was drafted by us in 1980. So he was here from 80 to 88. Then he did a year with San Fran, and then he went to the Redskins to finish off his career. Then, unfortunately, he went to become an executive with the Lions, and they were not very good during his tenure.
When
So
the Lions ever good? That's
true.
no. That's
Even
no.
with Barry Sanders, they still weren't that good.
That's no story.
That's an that's another topic when we all become Lions fans at some point, right?
Yeah, right. We'll switch
Um,
over.
so I mean, and he was drafted pretty high too. Actually, he was second round, 43rd pick. So
I mean,
I mean,
he did his job. He wasn't bad
he
at
was a
all.
good player. There's no two ways
No,
about it. You
it's
know,
just like some things he did was like questionable. Like, what the fuck? What? Grabbing the offensive line face mask and pulling it down. He did that a couple of times. Like,
yeah.
dude, what are you
And he was a
doing?
bigger frame linebacker too. He was 250, 6'2", 250. That was a good sized guy for a linebacker. You could see it. Like if you watch old footage of him on the field, he wasn't a small dude. So when he hit, if he came at full speed and he hit with that power and that size, good God, he was knocking you on your ass. Um, Probably the other than his playability, but probably one of the most famous things that happened with him um, was that game against the New England Patriots. Yeah, here it is. It was in 1986, January 5th. It was a playoff game between the Patriots and the Raiders in LA at the Coliseum. Um, so I guess there was some sort of like on-field dispute between the Raiders and um, Howie Long and someone else. Well, Matt saw that going on, and Matt was always, and you've seen Howie Long talk about this if you watch his interviews when he talks about Matt Millen, how Matt Millen will get involved whether he was involved from the get go or not.
Not.
If it's one of his teammates that's in need, he's going to do what he can to get involved and take care of and diffuse the situation. Well, unfortunately, what he did, he didn't diffuse it, he made it even worse. So he basically punched Patrick Sullivan, who was the Patriots general manager at the time, in the face.
Mm,
Um, So, I mean,
I don't
if you ever
remember
see
that.
the still photo of it, you can see Millen in full extension, and you see Sullivan like this because he's already been hit by him, and his face is turned, his hair's all fluffed up. It's like a perfect photo of it.
Yeah, look that up. I don't remember. I still don't remember that, but yeah, I looked that
Yeah,
up.
and Millen actually calls it what he calls it is like the good hit because he hit him perfect
Just clocked him,
and
huh?
fucking did a number on him. Um, so Matt Millen wasn't afraid to fight. He was one tough son of a
That's what I
bitch.
say. He did some questionable things, and like, dude, what are you
And
doing?
again, he's one of those guys that was drafted by the Raiders that should have been drafted by us and was drafted by us.
Mhm.
He was a Raider through and through. There's no two ways about it.
It was separated,
Like I
man.
said, Ben, what's up, Ben? What's going on, Ben? Um, and he was another one that was fun to watch too because he didn't
Yeah,
care. He didn't get.
I,
That's why I said if we could mix him into that group of let's put whoever we want out there. Oh my
you know
god.
what? It's fun to watch because you never know what to expect next. Like, what are you gonna do now?
No, no,
You
no.
gonna do something? You gonna do something crazy or something good? What are we gonna do?
Um, Now going up, moving up years here. Now, if we move up to, actually no, we still got Phil Villapiano too. Sorry, my bad. Sticking with that '70s era too. Still, kind of is Phil Villapiano. Another one of our great
Yeah,
former Raider linebackers.
rest
Another
in
guy that should be in the Hall of Fame.
right, exactly. Rest in peace, Phil, Bill.
Phil?
But of course he
No,
won't be.
John Bell passed away. Not Phil Villapiano. Wrong
Oh, sorry. Wait a minute. Oh,
guy.
wrong guy.
He's not off yet, man. He's still good.
Yeah, he's still alive, man. Sorry, if you're watching. That's
Uh,
right. That's way.
so if we look at Phil's history here, so I mean, he was mid-sized, 225 at the linebacker. So he was 25 pounds lighter than, again, this is in the 70s, so they were a little bit smaller too. 225, 6'2". Now, I've met him in person, um, and he is one of the most genuine guys when it comes to talking about I mean, he he's so much fun to be around. I've met him twice now, and he is so much fun to talk to at the, like we were at a bar setting is where I met him. It was for a pregame party for, the Raiders versus the Giants. And I'm standing at the bar, and all of a sudden he comes walking over and he stands next to me, and him and I start talking. I buy him a drink, and we had a video playing of all of like his stuff up on the screen.
Hmm.
It was other players around him and everything. And he's watching this. He goes, "I know that fucking guy," right? Because he's had a few. He's like, "I know that fucking guy." He goes, "What a fucking asshole!" And he's talking about himself because it's his face up on the screen. And then he's talking about that moment in the, I forgot what it was specifically, but he's talking about how that happened in that play and how he remembers making that hit and everything. And it just felt like I'm standing there talking to a friend of mine that I've been friends with for like 30 years.
Hmm.
That's how cool it was to actually interact with him.
Oh, that's
He's
cool.
so awesome, and he was underrated. A lot of people didn't take him as serious when he was playing. Like they didn't weren't. I guess they didn't feel threatened by him because he just wasn't your typical looking linebacker at that time. You know.
Well, for the Raiders linebacker core that were pretty much like outcasts, he didn't fit that profile.
Hmm.
But you know what? I'm looking at this history. Guess what? Guess what? Guess when he got drafted? And it was in a draft class.
It was early. I know that. I know.
It was the 45th overall pick by the Oakland Raiders. But
Yeah.
guess what the draft class was? Jim Plunkett, Archie Manning, Dan Pastorini, John Riggins, Richard Harris. He was just some names when he got drafted. Some Hall of Famer
Yeah, I
names.
mean that's one hell of a class that year if you think about
Yeah,
it.
that was one of them
You
good
know,
classes.
and who would have thought that? Well, actually, he was already off the team by the time Plunkett got there. I was going to say, who would have thought that came out in the same draft as the guy? No, wait a minute.
They came in the same draft class. Plunkett was the first pick
Oh no,
overall.
he was only with Oakland until '79. So Plunkett came over in '79. So they
He
never
was there.
fully. Oh,
Yeah.
maybe they did. But they were maybe there 1 year then.
Then Theodore was drafted. Then I mean,
Oh, that fucking guy! I can't stand that
yeah,
guy.
I hate that motherfucker. This Monday Night Football, like, yeah, shut up.
Yeah. Let's see. I went to that game as a kid, Raiders versus Pats, 1986 playoff. Yeah, and I think that was part of the whole dispute too. Was as they were coming off the field, both teams were going in. They would walk out the same entrance or tunnel or whatever at the
Yeah, there's only
Coliseum.
one tunnel
That's
Coliseum.
always a bad thing when teams walk off a field side by side. Something bad's going to happen. You just can feel it, especially if it's a controversial call at the end type of bullshit.
Yeah, is that one? Only had one tunnel at the Coliseum. That's it.
Yeah. So for his stats, let me see, what's he got? 4 sacks. So I mean, he was a linebacker, so I didn't expect him to have a ton of sacks. He had 15 in his career.
15
His
for his
best
career.
year,
Mm,
yeah, his best year was 76, the Super Bowl year. He had 5 sacks.
mm.
You know, but he played from 71 to 76. He played all 14 games each year. So 77, it looks like he was probably hurt because he only played in 2 games. 78, he played 16, 79, 16, and then he went to Buffalo for 4 years. Um, didn't really stop much in Buffalo, but at that point he had already been in the league for 9 years. You know, his best years obviously were behind him at that point. I mean, he 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 left it all out on the field when he played for the Raiders. I mean, he did everything he could back then. I mean, he was a hard hitter too.
Yeah, he's always gonna be a Raider. So no doubt
Yeah,
about that. Ain't no doubt about that. Because when he played with intent.
yeah, yeah.
You know,
Oh, he had that like old school grit in him.
yeah,
Like it's just tough to explain. He's just that era of player just meant something different. And when you meet him in person, you see it. He's just that old gruff looking dude, but yet one of the
grizzled
nicest guys.
like an old
Funny too,
grizzled guy. Yeah.
fucking hilarious.
But yeah, like I said, he didn't look like the profile of Raiders back then.
No,
Yeah, he ain't a Raider. You don't look like a Raider. These guys are all beat up and worn out, and you just look, like you do.
Yeah. Um, so, and I guess getting back to um, probably the most recent one, probably these two right here can kind of be talked about at the same time because they were both there at the same time. Beaker and Romanowski.
Yeah,
They were both there or during that Gruden 1.0 era. You know, Beakett. We all know what Beakett was famous for. Um, Not famous for it, but unfortunately, the outcome was not what we expected. You know, he's the one that recovered the fumble in the famous snow game, tuck
the Tuck
rule,
rule. Yeah,
the snow job, the fuck the Patriots can't stand them game,
yeah.
um, and what basically started the whole
No
Patriot
Patriots run.
bullshit from there on. Um, but
Beaker,
it wasn't
Beaker, he wasn't
that
a vicious player. Beaker was a very smart player.
smart. Yep,
Yeah, he was very
very,
intelligent.
very
I can't say he
intelligent.
was vicious like some linebackers we mentioned before. He wasn't necessarily the hardest hitter and necessarily all that stuff, but the man had smarts. He knew
Yeah,
exactly where to be at the right time. I'll give him that.
yeah. And then again, we already kind of talked about Romanowski a little bit.
Yeah.
Um, Romanowski again, I still feel as though that's a guy that was bred to be a Raider from day one.
Oh, it was out of control as soon as he got here.
Yeah,
He wasn't got in a
and
fight. I think he used to get in a fight with a tight end, or somebody broke his jaw. Or a tight
yeah,
end receiver. I
yeah.
remember.
Our rookie tight end punched
Yeah.
him in the face. Actually, no, he broke the orbit,
Oh yeah, yeah.
the orbital socket
That's
around
right.
his eye. The guy never played again after that. They
Yeah.
ended up settling that case in court. Um, but he was another guy that was kind of questionable roid rage, I guess you would say. That
Yeah.
came up the whole Balco thing. Um, but I knew about him prior to getting into the NFL because he played for Boston College. So he was all the rave around here in the New England area. That's all you heard about. Unfortunately, he went to the Eagles first. They're the
Yeah.
ones that ended up drafting him. Then he goes to San Fran, and then we get him.
They're getting
That guy should have been a Raider from day one. I
Yeah,
mean,
we should have drafted him
he's
right.
another one that was just fucking crazy. I mean, when you punch your own teammate in the eye and break his face,
Breakers.
basically broke his
He broke his
face.
face. Yeah.
Yeah,
I thought it
I
was
mean,
jaw, but yeah, it was eye socket, huh?
yeah, no, it was definitely his eye socket. But man, that just
You know what, Jeff? Paul, stop for a
yeah,
minute. Oh, Chewy Smoke said, looks like a coach that created on Madden. You know, I thought about buying. Yeah, that's the first time I heard that. I think I'm gonna buy me a whistle. If anybody in chat start messing up, blow the whistle. Knock on wood. Thanks, Chewy.
oh, what's up, Jess? How you doing? What's up, Nav man?
What's up, man?
Welcome in. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Yeah, Bigger was like
Yeah,
I said, he wasn't most.
most linebackers just love to wreck because they can. If you're a restrained linebacker, that's an anomaly or sucks as a linebacker. Yeah,
Yeah, that's true. Like I said, he wasn't the most vicious linebacker, but he definitely was one of the smartest ones. I tell you that.
you're talking about Beaker, right? Yeah,
Beaker, yeah, he one of the
yeah.
smartest ones. I tell you that.
Oh, he was definitely. This is where you and I talked about it earlier too. Is like when you think of linebackers, you think of like the quarterback of the defense, basically.
Right.
You know, they didn't have the speakers in the helmets back then, but he was definitely one of those that qualifies as who wore the green dot before the
Green dot.
green dots were around.
Hmm.
Beakett was one of those for sure,
Definitely.
without a doubt. Villapiano, yeah, probably could have been that. Probably would have been that type of guy.
Yeah.
Um, Rod Martin definitely would have been
Definitely
on
would
that.
have been. Yeah, he had a green dot. Yeah.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep. Rod
Definitely.
Martin, without a doubt, would have been that.
Yeah.
Um, but just sticking with Beacon real quick, he's another one of those, and this is where you see the linebackers getting bigger. So Matt Millen was 250, Beacon 6'2", same height, but 255. So you had 5 pounds more on him. You know, and we got him late. He was a seventh round pick. You
Yeah,
know, so he wasn't like
he
Will
wasn't top of the
Levis
charts at all.
second round or Matt Millen second round. He was late. Martin was a late pick too. I believe what did we say he was 12th round or was that
Marlon was
someone else?
Marlon
I,
was
I don't
late.
remember now. I'd have to
He
go
was
back and look.
late. Let's say
You know, but Biga was with us for a while. He was with us from '93 to 2001. You know, his last year obviously being the Tuck rule bullshit. Then he went on to Minnesota, stayed there for a couple of years, and then was gone for a while. And then 2010, he came back to the Raiders as a coach for the linebackers, but he was only here for 1 year.
well, yeah, we didn't stay long.
I wish he would have stayed a little bit longer. You know, would have been nice. But I always liked
I
him.
think that's when didn't they change regimes or something like that? Everything changed. They kicked everybody
Who
out.
knows? We changed so many times in the 2000s. Who
True,
to fucking keep track of which coach was where at 2010 without looking it up
true.
on a fucking chart? It's like seriously.
Yeah,
Um,
like man. Uh,
so
yeah,
uh,
Rod Martin was drafted in 12th round, 317
yeah,
overall.
see, and look how he turned out though too. I mean that's one of those guys that you think you're just it's just going to be a filler type guy, and he ends up being a fucking superstar for you.
Non Hall of Famer, but he should be. But
He
it
should be.
is what it is with this NFL. They got their
And
favorites.
now we're in the 2000s for linebackers. So now you're looking at guys like Kirk Morrison, um, Thomas Howard, Robert Thomas. These guys that were in that 2000s block. The early 2000s, basically. Like Kirk Morrison, another guy, 6'2", 245, a third round pick for him. He was only with us for a few years though. We didn't have him long term, but he was good while he was here. We had him from
Mhm.
'04 to '09. Then he went to Jacksonville for a year, and then he 2 years in Buffalo. So he didn't have a long NFL career, um, but he was still fucking good for us.
You didn't mention
Didn't have a
Napoleon
shit
Harris.
ton of, huh?
Napoleon Harris.
Uh,
He was
no,
there.
we're talking Kirk Morrison.
No, but I'm saying you say Kurt Morrison, but don't forget to mention Napoleon Harris. I'm telling someone say something about him. But go ahead,
Yeah,
keep.
no, no, no. He's one of the ones I had on this list too.
Okay.
Um, let's see. He was also here with Thomas Howard was here during that era too because they were both teamed up together. So Morrison started in '07, had an interception in each of his first three games. Yeah, Thomas Howard was here during that time frame. Another guy that, like I said, he good career with us. Just wish he would have been with us a little bit longer. But again, he didn't spend a lot of time in the NFL in general. You know,
Yeah.
but he was another smart player. Wasn't like the best in the league, but he was still
He was a
off.
he was a green dot. He was the captain of that linebacking corps. So
Yeah.
yeah, give him that.
Let's see, and then we get to where is it? Thomas Howard. I just said his name too, right? Yep, here he is, Thomas Howard. So Thomas Howard, 6'3". We got him in the second round, 38th pick overall. Spent
Mhm.
4 years with us in that time frame. So from '06 to 2010. Um, he's passed away. He's gone.
Yeah, he's
He,
gone.
he died in 2013. Actually, what did he die of? What was that? Oh, he died in a car crash.
Another one.
October 18, 2013 was one of two people killed in an Oakland, California high speed crash on Interstate 880.
Mm.
Ooh, I don't remember that.
I don't
Damn.
remember either.
Huh. Yeah, so he played a few years for us and then he went to Cincinnati for 2 years. So his last year playing was 2012. So, I mean, he still would have played a few more years if I guess he didn't have the accident. Um, oh, yeah. So he was signed by the Falcons on October 22nd, 2013, and then released on November 12th. And then 6 days later, he died in an accident.
Hmm.
So, yeah, so he was still active when he
Yeah.
passed. Wow, I don't remember that.
Still
Damn,
kind of young too. He wasn't that old, so
he's 30 years old. Yep,
yeah.
yep.
So he still a few years left in his career.
Yeah, that sucks.
He was a
Um,
fast linebacker. So Frank Webb. So yeah, he was pretty quick on his feet. He can cover. He was one of the sideline linebackers. He can go
yeah. Um,
for his size. It
what
was
was it?
pretty
Oh,
fast.
Napoleon Harris, right?
Yeah, I'll say Napoleon Harris, Mister
Hey.
Mister Slow Feet, and he played the middle. And he was like, I said, why is this guy playing middle? He's big as he is. He should be playing like on a line or something like that. It was like 255 pounds. He was a big guy. Yeah, 8.5 sacks in his career.
My keyboard and my mouse are not cooperating.
Yeah, I saw him like this guy's kind of big to be a linebacker. 255, damn it, 260. Like, what the hell? But he played linebacker, played the middle. Had 8.5 sacks. He hit the run pretty good. Hit the run holes pretty good, but I don't know. You think of a name like Harris. Harris, like back in the days, was a football name, Harris.
Yeah, here it
But
is. All
this
right, I got
guy,
it now.
I thought this guy was opposition to me personally.
All right, so Napoleon Harris, 6'2", 225. So he's a good sized kid. He was a first round pick, number 23 overall.
Yeah,
Um, let's see.
I just
Again, he
thought
wasn't a sack master as a linebacker. He was more of a you know
run stopper.
tackle.
Yeah.
Yeah, more of a run stopper tackle type guy.
In my opinion, I said, why don't put this guy on the edge? He wasn't fast, but he wasn't fast enough to be a linebacker to me. He was just fast enough to be like a DE or something like that and make him rush the quarterback. And he did. They just played in the middle. I said, no, he don't. No, he got to be kind of fast. He wasn't even fast to me. Slow.
So we got him in 2002. He was only here for 3 years, and then
I know.
we he went on to Minnesota and pretty much had the same type of career in Minnesota. Didn't
Didn't
really
stand
do
out.
much. Yeah,
I
yeah.
thought we drafted. We drafted him like, holy Harris, who was that? Look him up. Like, okay,
Yeah.
okay, okay. But
Well,
what we
another
been
one of
playing?
those famous first round draft picks that just
Exactly. I said, where
just
you gonna put him at?
shit
The
in the
guy kind
bed.
of big to be a middle linebacker. Put him on the edge, like you did with Khalil Mack. Dude, we keep him at linebacker. Didn't do crap.
Yeah, they were Ben, definitely. That whole thing was just, yeah. Was it a motorcycle accident? Is that what it was?
Motorcycle accident.
He's the second guy to die in a car crash because the other one was
Russell.
huh?
Russell.
Yeah, Maryland. No, was it Russell Maryland? Maryland? Yeah,
Russell. Daryl Russell.
Darrell Russell. Sorry. Yeah, that was in a Pontiac Grand Prix high speed chasing. He was 29, so both of these guys died
Dude, he
young.
did be young.
Yeah,
And he rose in down a car crash. He caused a car crash to kill people. So I don't
yeah.
want to. We don't talk about that right now. We'll talk about that another time we get to receivers.
So we're getting to the end here. So let me ask you this. So these are some of the more underrated guys that we had through the years,
Mm-hmm.
both linebackers and defensive linemen. So we're talking like Anthony Smith, Lance Johnstone,
Mm-hmm.
forgotten names, and fan favorites. Like people loved Lance Johnstone. Napoleon Harris was another one. Sam Williams. Um, those are the guys that were, you know,
The fans
like
liked
you
him.
just said, I forgot about Napoleon Harris till I looked at the list again. I'm like, shit, yeah, you're right. You
Yeah.
know, but
They,
I
they were
mean,
they were fan favorites, but they wasn't always in the news as like doing something spectacular. But as a
yeah.
true Raider fan, you like to see them on the field.
So who would you slate as like the smartest linebacker to ever play for the team? Who would you put that down as?
Bigger.
Beaker. I know we didn't say Spillane yet. We didn't get that far up, but I mean
I
everybody knows
I don't think
Spillane wasn't here that long, so I mean he's already
Uh,
gone now, so it's like, do we really
no,
want to talk about him? He's only here for a couple of
you,
years.
you can compare Beaker to Blaine Beaker, still the smartest linebacker that I think played for the Raiders. And him and Rob Martin, the two smartest linebackers that played for the Raiders.
Um,
Like,
I will tell you who I think's one of the worst.
oh, not don't say his name. Don't say it.
Why not?
Oh, he's not in the building. Oh, AR's not here. Go ahead and say
Uh,
it. We know what you're gonna say. High draft pick and didn't do shit.
Rolando McClain,
Yeah, Ronald McClay. Yeah,
fucking guy.
yeah, he got picked. What? Let's see. What you get picked in the draft? You got
Oh,
picked.
I don't know. I don't even want to look him up. I really
I'm
don't.
doing it anyway because I just want to know because I know he was a high draft pick. He was picked number 8 overall.
Ugh, it makes me want to puke. Rolando McClain.
Yeah,
Walter
man.
White.
Go teach. Where teach going? Off the cliff? Well, I don't know.
Smartest Ted Hendricks.
Yeah, I was gonna show up and yell at us. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Napoleon Harris was definitely like the in all honesty.
Yeah,
Picked
pretty
way
much.
too soon for him. Just like McLean. McLean never should have even been picked.
Yeah, yeah, he's right. Boy Harris is like Debo. He should have been on
Yeah,
line of scrimmage instead out there
tough
trying to play a
decade.
linebacker. I think it'd been better than
Um,
line of scrimmage than linebacker.
Napoleon Harris was a liability all the way around. I see for smartest, I would have to go with Beaker to be honest with you.
Yeah, I said Beaker. And then Ron Martin, one of those two guys. There's always
Yeah,
around.
if you go old school guy, then I'm going Martin. Um, I would go. I don't know if I would. I don't think I would go Villapiano. Although he
Yeah,
was pretty.
he was a hard nose.
I think smartest all time. Yeah, I would have to go with probably Beaker. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I'll go with him.
That
I'll
was
just
bigger
play safe.
than Ron Martin. Bill Palmer was
Yeah,
a headbanger. So yeah,
yeah. So when you think of, I mean, I know we've had such a storied history with our secondary, but when you think of that rate of mystique and the nastiness, you don't think of the finesse of like the secondary. Even though I mean, Jack Tatum wasn't a finesse guy back there. You think of the defensive front. Your front linemen, your linebackers. Those guys were the down and dirty, gritty. They're what shaped the rate of mystique. There's no two ways about it. You
yeah.
know, from the '70s on up until we really didn't have a good defensive front line in the 2000s and the
Whew.
late 90s. It
It
was
was
kind of
horrid.
you know. So like so when you think of that rate of mystique, I always think back to that era. The '70s and '80s with just those fucking just guys that
It
just
was just
cutting you.
nasty. It was just
Yeah,
this is
they'd
dirty and
rather take
nasty.
a bite out of your arm than tackle you half the time.
It was just that's what football was meant to be played back in those days. They were dirty, nasty, and didn't give a shit.
Yeah,
Now they can't do all that stuff, but
I
whatever.
mean,
It's for safety of the players. I understand that all that bull crap, but still, you're taking the fun out of what brought me into football. Well, I like to say,
like the other thing too is you think back to back in the day with those guys. You wouldn't want to be the opposing team at the bottom of a pile up with those guys
no,
on
you get your
top of
eyes
you.
poked out.
Your eyes, you're going to come back with one less ball than what you came out on the field with. You're going to have broken fingers.
Yeah,
You're going to get fucked up
they're gonna
because those
twist your
guys.
leg. They'll twist your leg and everything. You're like, ah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, if we were to ever do a listing of the dirtiest Raider players,
Oh, there's
there's
a
a
lot
good
of.
chunk, but I still think, and he's
That's
not a
okay.
Raider, the worst guy out there still to this day. I
If
got
we
to
do,
go with Conrad Dobler.
if we do that list, man, it's gonna be a 2-part show, dude, because we don't have that much time today.
We are going to do that one though in the future. That's a
Okay,
that's a definite one.
okay, great. But like I said, I find that clip where Madden says, "Yes, we play dirty. So what? What you gonna do about it?" I'm like, okay.
Navman, you leaving already? You just got here. Rolando McClain was legit the saddest Raider ever. Yeah.
Yeah, he's one of these. Well, he's in that group.
So Rudy Pete says Villapiano, Hendricks, Martin, Millen are the first four that come to mind. All-time linebackers. Yeah, that was going to be the
Good
other
list.
question I was going to ask.
Great list. Great list.
Actually, I want to ask this of the chat. Do you think the modern Raiders live up to the defensive standard from the old days, or do you think they still got a ways to go?
The ones we have now,
Yeah,
no. Well, we had Spillane maybe, but no. I have to see these new guys. I don't know. I don't know. I
what's
can't
up,
imagine.
Pat?
Even
Pat
go back
says no
even
way.
go back a couple of years. I don't see it. No.
What's up, Frank?
Even seeing it in a couple of years, I don't
I
see
don't
it.
think they are. I
I
I,
don't see. I
I
don't
don't
see it.
think they are. I don't think you're ever going to see that. To be honest
No.
with you,
Mm-mm.
I don't think that is ever going to exist. I don't think that's ever going to exist in the NFL. Period.
Not the way it's going now. Not the way it's a pass happy league, and the linebackers was almost like the running backs, but the linebackers started to be phased out. Now everybody going to five D backs and all that stuff.
Yeah. Um, and even like passing the torch, like who from recent years could carry on the legacy? Probably the closest would be Max. I can't think of anybody else right now um, that could carry on that legacy from that tenacity, that mystique of the
Mm.
Raiders. I mean, Max is. If you look at the team now, he is that. He's the face of the Raider
It's the
defense.
Raiders. Yeah.
Technically, he's the face of the Raiders. To be honest with you,
Yeah, he's pissed the Raiders. Yeah.
you know. So
Um, Wilkins can't come up to that, but we don't have a short sample, small sample of him. We don't know what he's going to be. When he played in
yeah,
Miami, he was pretty dominant then, but we don't know because we only had like 5 games. So we got to see where he develops to. Adam Butler just plays hard. I like the way he plays. He plays hard. But we got to see.
forgot about McKenzie being a player too. Actually, that's how much of an impression he left on me. I guess
Who?
Reggie McKenzie.
The GM?
I forgot, to be honest with you. And again, he was on. He was on those decent teams in the '80s. From '85 on, they didn't win anything, but
Yeah,
they
well,
were still good, decent teams, especially on the defense side.
he was on the Raiders. What?
Reggie McKenzie?
Oh,
Oh, you busting balls?
no.
Yeah, you fucking asshole.
That's how much I remember that. Motherfucker didn't do
What I
shit.
mean?
No, some of these names have everlasting impact as a Raider to me. Some names like, oh yeah, that's right, he was on the team type dude. That's what McKenzie was to me.
He goes, nah, I seen Reggie stalking motherfuckers on the field. He was a legit linebacker. I don't remember him that well, I guess, as
I
far as
don't.
I mean, I knew he played for us and everything. I get that part, you know. So all right. So I got one more thing I want to bring up.
Oh yeah, here it is.
So it's kind of a hot take, I guess you could say. Let me lead this to the chat too. Who's the greatest linebacker or defensive lineman in Raiders history? Or one of one. Pick the greatest linebacker to ever play for the Raiders and the greatest defensive lineman to ever play for the Raiders. You can only pick one. One linebacker and one defensive line.
You asking the chat,
So
right? You asking the chat, right?
yeah, ask in the chat.
No, okay.
Ask you too. Go for it.
I already named mine, so I'm good. All right.
But some people that are here weren't here when we brought it
All right.
up.
For me, it was Townsend's lineman, and then Rod Martin. So those two to me were the best. That's those my picks.
So Weber says for the line, it's Howie.
Oh yeah, Howie.
Jesus Christ, it's an easy question, folks. Pick a linebacker, pick a defensive lineman. Put it in the chat.
I was going old school.
That's how interactive works.
What is this?
Rod
Rod
Martin,
Martin.
Howie.
Okay.
Okay. 94 linebacker group was tight. Fredrickson, Winston Moss, Greg Beaker. Oh, yeah, I forgot about Fredrickson, too. Ardell. Hey, that man's old lady. What's up?
Oh, his name changed. Huh?
Linebacker going Hendricks. Okay.
Hmm.
Me, linebacker. I gotta go. I'm. This is a tough one for me.
Rolando
I'm gonna
McLean.
go Matt Millen on linebacker.
I thought it was say
I'm gonna
McLean.
go a little out of the box. I'm going Matt Millen,
Okay.
and I gotta go with Howie. I mean, Howie's been my guy. Mac and Kelly. Okay, that's legit. I'll take
Yeah, that's
that.
good. Yeah. Oh, yeah, area.
Yeah, you're right too, Jason. He could have been the Super Bowl MVP. Fuck yeah.
We could have been. It didn't matter who was Super Bowl MVP because we won that Super Bowl, so who cares?
Rock says Khalil Mack.
Mm-hmm.
Did Ted have all three Super Bowl rings? You know what? I think
Did
you
he
might be
kind of,
right.
didn't he miss the 76 one? Was he there? I know we got the 80 and the 84 one, but I don't remember getting the.
I'm gonna tell you in a second. I'm looking at the gonna look at the rosters right now.
There we go. Damn it. My computer's acting stupid. There we go.
Ted Hendricks. Ted Hendricks. Where are you? Where are you? That's offense.
Let's see. Henry was.
I don't see. Oh yeah, he was.
He
Oh shit.
was. Yeah, he was drafted 1969. Yeah.
Yep.
He was there
Yep.
all three of them. Yeah.
Yep. He definitely was.
Yeah. He has
Yep.
all
Good
three
call.
rings.
I didn't think he was actually. I thought he missed that year. Yep. He
Mm-hmm.
was in all three Super Bowl games.
Mm-hmm. So he got
Wow.
all three rings. That's awesome to have. And never be a Hall of Famer.
But do you know how many total Super Bowls he won though?
Four.
Yep. He won with the Colts.
Yeah.
No, was it the Colts?
No, I don't know what it goes, but I know you got four.
Fuck man, who was it he else played? Who else did he play with? Yeah, Baltimore.
Huh.
Did they win the Super Bowl? Yeah. So what's everybody saying? So everybody's saying
Colts. Nick Roach was good. Nick Roach. I didn't think about Nick Roach. He was all right. He was serviceable.
I think we're good.
Yeah.
You got anything going on this weekend?
I got a show tomorrow with Radio Nation Jason. You guys tune in at 10 o'clock a.m. Pacific time. Probably what, 1 o'clock your time? We're just going to shoot the shit, just chat about what's going on in today's NFL. Me and Red Jason Nation. Red Nation Jason.
There you go.
Tomorrow at
Good
10
boy.
a.m. I'm getting tongue tied. We're going to 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. What about you?
I have an invite from Afakasi to play Tecmo Bowl tomorrow morning, 10
Oh,
o'clock in
that's
the
right.
morning, my time. So
That's
7
right.
o'clock your time.
That's right. That's right. That's right. I forgot. I'm going to check that out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is Nate
Well, if
going
you're up,
is
oh,
Nate
you'll
going
probably
to
be up. You're an early riser.
be? Yeah, for a
So
minute.
tomorrow morning, 7 o'clock Pacific, 10 o'clock Eastern time. Um, I don't know the streaming details yet if I'm gonna have it on my channel too, but I'll definitely be on Afakasi's for sure. Critique's gonna be in it. Myself, LV rated 10 has been invited, but he's out getting hammered tonight, so he said he may be too hungover in the morning to play. So if
That's the
anything,
excuse.
it'll
He
be a
must,
3-way round robin again.
yeah, that's the excuse so he won't get beat down again,
Yeah,
huh?
probably. I don't care. I'll play no matter what. I'm not
No,
bad at
I gotta watch it.
fuck no. So I will be playing Tecmo Bowl tomorrow morning. Supposed to play this afternoon, Madden with Jason, but I went and took a nap, and he actually did too because when we messaged each other, we had just woken up, so that didn't happen.
Who, Rare Nation, Jason?
Um, yeah, so maybe tomorrow afternoon, but I think tomorrow morning after I play Tecmo, or maybe even before I play Tecmo, I'll probably be streaming World of Warships again. That game's so
Okay.
much fun. Um, then the next thing I have coming up is just whenever I decide to get on and stream games, and Wednesday nights Raider Connection, and Thursday nights Raiders Coast to Coast. So
And I say, anybody subscribe to my channel, hit the notification because next week I'll probably do another fans. I gotta make sure I say this right. Fans only draft picks because I know with Jason here, you're gonna twist it. Yeah, Jason, you are my moderator, so I need you in there. So yeah, we're gonna do one next week. I don't know what day and time, so just stay tuned. Check notifications. That the fans pick.
and then next Saturday, come back and be here next Saturday with Chris and myself. Hopefully, Papa Rundown will be on with us. He couldn't make it tonight because he's babysitting Baby Rundown tonight. Um, so next Saturday night, same time, 9 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Pacific. We're gonna go over the draft history of the Raiders through the years.
And boy,
Um,
was this gonna be good because we had a lot of good draft picks, boy. Yeah.
gonna be I think it's gonna be a fun one because there's gonna be some good years and there's gonna be some fucking awful years. Um,
Man.
I don't think we're gonna cover like every goddamn round,
No, no.
especially the older years or going way back because
They had
there were
12.
12 plus. There were 12 plus rounds in some cases. I'm not sitting here and going over a 12 round fucking draft. No fucking
No.
way.
No.
Um, if anything, we might highlight some of the more famous players that came out in some of those drafts. Um, but
And definitely the
I
worst
guarantee
one.
we're going to be talking first, second, maybe third round picks that panned out and some
Yeah,
that
sounds
didn't.
good. Definitely gonna talk
Um,
about the worst picks. I tell you that. And there's a lot of them.
I mean, we could do a show just on the worst picks, to be honest with you.
Pretty much. It'll take like a 2 hour show, like a 4 hour show.
That's how bad our draft history is. We could definitely, we
Like I
seriously
said,
could do a
like,
draft.
like we're gonna do the worst picks. They're gonna say stay tuned for part two next week.
We'll be back next Saturday night with part two. So, no, good show tonight. Thank
Great
you
show,
to the
guys.
chat. Make sure you get over to Chris Four Raiders. Get over to his channel. Hit that sub. Hit those notifications. Anybody that's in here that's on my channel, if you like what you've seen tonight, what you've heard, check back in with us. It's any underscore Raider boosters. Make sure you hit that sub. Hit that thumbs up. Hit the notifications too. And also in the bio, you're going to see my link for my gaming channel too. So make sure you check that out and try to build up subs on that so I can stream exclusively just games on that channel for now instead of using this one. So
Mm.
I have been using this one just to draw people over.
Oh yeah.
That's
So
about it,
no
right?
problem.
You got anything else?
No, that's really tomorrow morning, and then next week some draft. One of these days, I don't know when.
All right. Handshake. Good job tonight. Handshake.
Uh, wrong
Wrong
hand.
way. I'm shaking your elbow. There you go.
Oh,
Yeah.
this way. Oh, my
Yeah.
screen's different.
Do
I
this. Yeah,
know
yeah.
we can never point the right way. Like, yeah, this way.
All right, thanks everybody. Jason Downs, thank you for the super chat, brother. I appreciate you very much.
Salute,
And again,
guys.
everybody, don't forget, if you like what you hear here and you want to subscribe and become a member, the link is on my channel for membership. So come on down. Take care, everybody. Thank you
Salute.
very much.